Okay, let's see here. Oh, about a minute in. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. That's interesting. I will be sending the text message alert out momentarily. If you do not receive it in the next, I don't know, couple minutes, depending on your carrier, that is a good opportunity to let us know if there's something wrong with the text message alert system. So I am pressing send now. Go, little text message. Okay, there we go. Hey. Okay, we got D-Live. D-Live is here. They are chatting. We are good to go. Text message is out. Email is out. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. We got a great show for you today. What day is it? Oh, it's Monday. It's Thanksgiving Monday. Oh, my goodness. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. As we mentioned before, our schedule will be a little bit affected by the holiday this week, but stay tuned. More about that. And other than that, yeah, we got a great show. I want to remind everybody you can head to canarycry.party. You'll find all sorts of resources, but you can also sign up for the text message alert system. You can sign up for the newsletter that we send out before every show. It contains all the sources, all the art, all the good stuff for every single episode. So we hope you sign up for that and enjoy it. If you do sign up for it, remember that you're going to need to move it to your inbox. Only about 20% of those newsletters make it into the inbox because of, Gmail algorithms, things like that. So if you do find it in your promotions tab, make sure to star it or right click and move to your inbox. That will not only make sure that you get the email, but it will tell the Google overlords that it's a good email and they should let it into more people's inboxes. All right, sounds good. Okay, here we go. Let's get this show started, baby.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is November 21st, 2022. We are live to tape on episode 563. And today, Narrative Control. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, who also happens to be your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape also here from California to serve you a podcast that brings the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena is quite quintessential.
Oh,
the quintessence of evil is becoming ever more clear.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, yeah. Well, Gonz, I'm looking, and there's been a lot of talk about whether or not Trump will be rejoining Twitter. A lot of misunderstanding about already on Twitter, we got to remember that the account was never actually taken down. He left up all of his previous tweets for like historical reasons. But as of now, I still do not see that Trump has Twitter or done anything to like tweeted or anything like that. So nobody's that's most important.
Hey, I know we just went live, but your connection is so bad. We're gonna have to reconnect. It's really bad.
Started. Oh no!
It literally started as we went live. I know, just right when we went live. I know.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to reconnect?
Let's do a quick reconnect just to.
Okay, here we go. Farewell, everybody.
Okay, there he goes. Goodbye, and then we will reconnect. This is fun. This is fun. Live. It's so loud.
And I'm back.
Yes.
Here I am.
Is it
doing anything?
Here you are. It sounds better. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's really fun because, we spend about 2 hours on the call before the show starts. Yeah. As we set up the show, we're making decisions, we're exploring, researching, doing the things. And then, of course, immediately when we go live is when the problem starts. And for the techies out there, no. I do not do the streaming from my computer. So an extra, packet going out should have nothing to do with my connection. Anywho, here we are.
Yeah.
Long story short, Trump is not on Twitter. Don't worry, everybody. Our democracy is safe.
Well, the path is set, though. At any point, it's a power play. Anytime he decides to retweet will be a strategic thing. It's not going to just be. He's being so
withholding.
Right. Well, yes.
Why?
He's got his own thing. Maybe he should tweet a link out to Truth Social. That'll be his one and only tweet. Is like, everybody go to Truth Social.
Yeah, that would be a good plan. All right. Well, we got a great show for you today. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
That's right. And for all the content moderators, censorship managers, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate media news. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources of narrative containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. Today, we're starting out with some lead stories regarding FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, look, folks, we've been talking about this fella. Gons was bringing him up way back in the day. Nobody cared, including myself. Turns out he's sort of at the top of the pyramid. He's got his tentacles not only in the war in Ukraine and the Democratic Party and the tax dollars, but also some some new details you'll find out later on in the show. But the Deepfake conspiracy is at it again. SBF Deepfake. We'll see what the I don't know, the conspiracy nerds are saying about that. Flippy updates as they continue to indoctrinate the children with a love of robots that surpasses all understanding. We'll then be moving into some reporting about the Club Q shooting. Some interesting details there. How is it being reported? How is it being received? Elon, of course, there's got to be some sort of Elon controversy, as they say in the UK. But the World Cup, Twitter, advertising. What's the story? Why do we care? You'll find out. And then, of course, it's been a while. We got to get an update on our good pals over at CNN. After the break, today, I'm warning you ahead of time, we will be cutting off the YouTube channel because we will be talking about some topics that YouTube does not like us to talk about. It's too hot for TubeTube, baby. But yes, if you want to learn about the FDA, the ivermectin updates, the wild web of narrative construction and deconstruction over the past couple years, you're gonna want to head to our Rumble, our DLive, any one of the myriad of outlets that does not make a habit of harassing us and suspending our account. Go check it out. Second half of show. And then Antarctica, Nephilim, they're coming for you. End of the show. Groundbreaking research. You can't miss it. All right, Gons, you want to start us off with our lead stories?
We are in Deepfake.
Oh yeah, we're in more than Deepfake right here. This is all kinds of deep stuff. But Vice, our favorite outlet, we got multiple favorite outlets, but Vice is one of them, has the headline here: FTX founder Deepfake offers refund to victims in verified Twitter account scam. Scam Bankman-Fried.
Mm-hmm.
And the subheading here: a fake digital Sam Bankman-Fried used a Twitter Blue account to trick followers into enrolling in a fake crypto giveaway. Now, fake crypto giveaways has been a problem for a long time.
It's a classic. It's like the Nigerian prince.
I know, it's very
like
convincing.
2016 and on. The Nigerian prince scam is almost outdated. Like the joke almost doesn't land anymore because it's so old school. Now it's all about crypto scams, baby.
Yeah, anytime anybody promises you, 2 Bitcoin, if you send us 1, that kind of thing,
right,
it's probably a scam. And YouTube has a problem with these scam channels, basically broadcasting, live streaming these alleged events and then doing giveaway and stuff like that. And it's just, it's bad. And YouTube hasn't done too much to protect consumers. But here's what the article states. A deepfake of FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried circulated on Twitter on Friday, where the founder of the collapsed cryptocurrency exchange appeared to claim he could make users whole again by doubling their cryptocurrency in a typical giveaway scam. Making matters worse, the account was verified and mimicked SBF's real account. I have the video here, just a few seconds. Remember, this is a deep fake. Let's take a watch.
Hello, everyone. As you know, our FTX exchange is going bankrupt. But I hasten to inform all users that you should not panic. As compensation for the loss, we have prepared a giveaway for you in which you can double your cryptocurrency. To do this, just go to the site ftxcompensation.com. Hello, everyone.
Oh, it's a loop in there. There you go. I mean, have you watched the actual video, Basil? This is the first time you're taking a look?
No, this is the first time hearing about it.
Okay. Well, you can tell, it's got that grainy MP3 low quality thing going on, where
it's a classic.
The classic audio
to cover up the flaws.
Yes, and you can tell with certain words that were pronounced weird or just placed weird. You can kind of hear that it's artificial, but then the video itself, it's hilarious because there are other public clips of SBF. I think it was some mainstream news outlet where he's really shaking. He's shaking his knees. He's kind of twitching, and it's really bizarre. So they kind of recreated
a
fidgety fella. Yeah, there's some rumors about what kind of depression medicines he was on and stuff like that. So
it was probably just Adderall.
Yeah, I think Adderall was mentioned. There was something else, but that's sort of beside the point. He's got that jittery thing, and they recreate that in this deep fake, and his eyes are darting back and forth like he's reading off a screen. And, for us, we've been at this for a while. We kind of know what to look for in a deep fake, just your typical signs or markings of, hey, this is probably edited. This is probably manufactured. And I immediately noticed it right away. I'm sure most people noticed it right away, but it's kind of weird that who would do this? Number one, I mean, somebody obviously that's trying to scam the public. But what are the chances that SBF is actually behind this too? I wouldn't put it past the guy. We don't know much about him other than his elite status. But it says here, Sam Bankman-Fried is a self-styled altruistic genius in charge of the imploded crypto exchange FTX. He owes $3 billion to creditors. It was reported that he gave himself $3.3 billion. It's a good self-loan. You're lending to yourself some money. $3.3 billion is a good number. On Friday, in a tweet viewed by Motherboard before the account was suspended by Twitter, user S4GE, kind of like Sage with the 4 as an A, _ETH, tweeted out a video that seemed to show Bankman-Fried offering to help people who'd been messed up by FTX. The account has a blue verified check mark. Bankman-Fried's Twitter handle SBF and his Twitter avatar. So everything about the account looks exactly the same. You have to look at the @ symbol, like the @ whatever,
which
to know
exactly. Which is such
exactly.
a simple thing to do. I mean, it's one of those. Look, I get it. You see something that excites you, it confirms your bias, or it has something that really gets you pumped, and you don't look at the actual details of where it comes from.
Actual handle,
Not everybody's on Twitter, so they might not understand this, but even if you're looking at a fake version of somebody's account, all you got to do is look at the actual handle, and it'll tell you that it's not the person that it's claiming to be. So it's an easy thing to spot. And I'm surprised it works for anybody. Donald Trump has a bunch of these on Twitter. There's like 1,000 fake Donald Trump accounts, and they all do a really good job of copying his, the look of his original account. But all you got to look is at the handle. It's right there on every screenshot, and it's like at El Donald Trumpo or something, not his real handle.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that what was it? Oh, I just lost my train of thought. There you go. That's the kind of day it's been.
Sabotage. I sabotaged you.
Just got to pull the plug early.
Yeah, you were saying you were showing us the account from which it came.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So the reason why, Elon's implemented recently this $8 for a blue check mark thing. And the idea is that the cost to do spam bots and stuff is too low. Anybody can do it for a few cents or whatever. But if you raise the price or put a dollar value on the blue check mark, then, presumably it costs more money to be a scam or whatever. But, $8 is not much of a barrier for somebody to create a blue check marked account that mimics entirely, somebody else's account and then try to scam
which is
people.
shut down, by the way. It
was shut down.
And it's been shut down for quite some time. So this fake Sam Bankman-Fried account must have been started in I think it was 24 hours that the $8 check mark deal was going.
Yeah.
So it was somebody who had planned to mimic Sam Bankman-Fried weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. Maybe one of his own burner accounts. The site shows a rolling list of fake transactions to entice victims to send crypto. The linked Bitcoin address has received no tokens. Yeah. Good job. Good job, public. While the Ethereum address currently holds just over $1,000 in ETH. So, okay.
That's probably it was a fake scam. Well, of course it's a fake scam, but it was an unsuccessful scam. Not a single person fell for it. Yeah.
Needless to say, getting scammed on Twitter by a deepfake after already losing all your crypto on a collapsed exchange adds insult to injury. And that's how the article ends. And is this Vice?
Needless to say, it's insult to injury that literally not a single person fell for.
I know. That's what's interesting about it is, okay, you're telling us. So why is Vice doing the work that for example, the SEC is supposed to do in protecting consumers?
Well, it's an anti-Elon thing is what it is. It's an anti-Elon, Twitter bad, sort of narrative being constructed around a completely unsuccessful scam having to do with the biggest news stories of the past week or so.
Plus, this is really the least of the scams. I mean, we're talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, what he's up to. The New York Post had this article a few days ago. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried to appear alongside Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky at exclusive NYT event.
Yes, I saw this. The New York Times had an event that was supposed to go on next week or this week.
The 30th of November. Yeah.
Yeah. And it had Sam Bankman-Fried, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and Janet Yellen. The Treasury Secretary. So it was like this lineup of. It was this incredible lineup of outrageously important people. And Sam Bankman-Fried was the keynote speaker on this New York Times. And it's just hilarious because, of course, their keynote speaker on their very, very important panel was a total fraud and,
Did they drop him or is he still going to do it?
Stooge. I think they canceled the event.
Oh, whoa! They went full board
together.
They have to protect this guy, I guess, to just shut down the whole thing. Just might as well.
And of course, you got Sam Bankman-Fried, the criminal. World Economic New World Order stooge.
Yeah.
You've got President Zelensky, who recently still insists that the Ukrainian missile that landed in Poland was a Russian attack.
Still?
He is still insisting that his forces did not launch that missile into Poland when the entire international community has come to that conclusion, and he's still asking for money because of it was a Russian missile, it wasn't Ukrainian. And then of course Janet Yellen, the woman who's been spending the past 2 years denying that inflation even exists as a concept and redefined the definition of recession and all this stuff, carrying water for Biden and the economic situation. So it really was a dream team of like world-class level propaganda agents.
Now, just a small detail to point out. It says here the DealBook Summit, sponsored by Accenture, will be held at Jazz Lincoln, Manhattan, November 30th. It's supposed to have luminaries such as Mark Zuckerberg and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mark, he was the other one.
Mike Pence was going to show up. So for most people, Accenture might not ring a bell, but we talked about SDRs, special drawing rights, as sort of a blueprint for a global, one world currency that's been talked about for decades, really. Right. And, created by the UN and all that stuff. Accenture is one of these, companies or enterprises that also does SDRs. And Accenture specifically, if it's the same one, I don't know if it's the same one, but Accenture is a Chinese firm, like a digital enterprise for China. So I have this press release here from October 27th. Accenture shows that Chinese companies have been making steady progress in digital transformation. We don't have to get too deep into it, but the China Digital Transformation Index research was conducted by Accenture, and Accenture has a sort of a hand in creating, again, SDRs from the Chinese perspective. So just something interesting, a small little detail that may not have. Yeah,
I haven't looked into it, but it is interesting. Yeah. All right, sounds good. Anything else?
Other than the fact that it's a sad, sad Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. Ooh, I am not prepared for this.
No.
Gary,
no.
What day is it? Monday. Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Me.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
It is Monday. We're doing it. Monday. It is Gons. You're feeling it. Sounds like you're feeling it.
Oh, yeah. Feeling all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, it's the holiday week. Thanksgiving's coming up. We're so thankful for all of you listening and producing the show. This will most likely be our only live show for the week. Gons, you've got some heavy duty Thanksgiving family plans going on, and we are attempting to put some supplemental material together, but we'll be giving updates on that later. So keep an eye on your podcast feed, of course. Of course, not everybody is even subscribed to the podcast, which is interesting. But if you haven't done it yet, go over to whatever podcast player you like to use and subscribe to Canary Cry News Talk. It's a wonderful place where, as of now, is impossible to censor. You are subscribing directly to an RSS feed that we broadcast out. Right now, it is not live, but the audio quality is much higher. And for those who use Spotify, which is not many of you, but for those who do use Spotify, soon you will be noticing that you will be given the opportunity to watch the video version of the show. Whoa.
In Spotify?
Very fun. In Spotify.
Oh, we've sold out. What contract did we sign?
I wish they would pay us.
Where's
for that.
our 100 million?
No, we figured out
Joe
the tech.
Rogan set the standard.
we figured out the tech. We're able to upload the video to Spotify. So for those who are podcast listeners, you wait for the podcast to come out. If you ever want to check out the video, you can check it out on Spotify. Any personal stuff over the weekend, Gon? What was your weekend like? Anything good?
Nothing too intense or crazy, but I will just remind you that today is the birthday of Robot Jocks.
Robot Jocks. Oh my gosh, is that on the Canary Cry calendar?
Yes, sir.
Wow. If you're kind of new to the show, let me explain. Robot Jocks is the best movie that was ever made. And does it give you the year on the
Yes,
calendar?
it does. It's 32 years old, 1990 on this day, November 21st. Yeah, so next year we really have to do our, commentary version of the movie by next year, because next year will be the 33rd anniversary of Robot Jocks.
Oh my gosh, what another great reason for you to get the Canary Cry calendar, everybody. And you can do that by signing up for the supply drop. It is the only way to receive the Canary Cry calendar. Yep, just head on over to canarycrysupply.drop.com. If you get any value out of this show, it's time to produce. And the monthly Supply Drop Producers is an excellent way to both support the show, keep the show going, keep us free from corporate money, corporate influence, and but also receive awesome stuff for your support of the show. Once per quarter, 4 times a year, you'll receive a package in the mail filled with custom created, made in America, producer-produced Canary Cry News Talk gear. And the deadline is coming up, Gons. There's only 9 more days to sign up for the supply drop to receive the Canary Cry calendar. And you're going to want this Canary Cry calendar because it's going to have the 33rd birthday of Robot Jocks, the best movie in the world, the most influential movie for little baby Basil.
Well, I still haven't seen robots. I still haven't seen the whole thing. I started watching it in the first 3 minutes. Every single line is a topic we've covered or something. I'm like, all right, I got to stop. I'm going to save it for our breakdown.
Yep, super soldiers, geopolitics, giant robot battles, a lot of gender stuff,
Ooh.
a lot of the gender sort of social revolution going on, all took place in Robot Jocks in 1990. I'm telling you, folks, check it out. Anyways, go to canarycrysupply.drop.com to get your hands on that. I do have an update, Gons. I did watch the new Marvel movie, The Wakanda Forever, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a really long movie. Very, very long movie.
They got to really fabricate the mythology. They need to build the road for people to exodus to Africa. Yeah,
it's really fascinating to watch. The shift, of course, because Marvel's Disney. It's really interesting to watch the Disney shift their commitment, to progressive sort of values in Disney properties. We've been seeing it for many years now, but the whole background of the movie is that these are two sort of historical groups of people who have been victimized by Europeans. So they're like the colonized people. Mm-hmm. And
the two factions within the colonized?
Two different colonized people, right.
Okay.
So in the past, Wakanda Forever, the Black Panther series is very much like anti-colonialism, kind of African roots are better than European colonial history, stuff like this. And it's always been very, almost literally, black versus white, which is classic, both metaphorically and literally, for the Marvel series. Now, the two forces opposing each other are two different BIPOC communities, colonialized communities. You've got like the South Americans, the Mayans, Incans, the Aztecs, that group, versus the Wakandans. And it had this the whole time. You can feel it. You can feel the tension. You're like, wait a second. This is Disney. They cannot have these two groups of people fight each other and have one of them win over the other one. The only people who are allowed to lose in this movie are the European colonizers, and they're not even involved in the battle. So who's going to win?
They've won again. They have hidden behind the curtain, and they're pulling the strings.
That I did think maybe something like that would come out. Slight spoilers, by the way, if anybody's like,
did they unite at the end and then they all attack the ivory white castle?
Some slight spoilers. If anybody really doesn't want any Wakanda spoilers, just pause it or whatever.
Sure.
Skip this. But it's literally the last scene of the movie is the guy that they call the colonizers. They've kind of been calling one of the SHIELD agents or CIA agents, colonizer. That's like his nickname because he's a white guy.
Yeah.
And the movie ends with him, and he's like in chains. He's been captured.
Oh, there you go.
And the last movie is like, colonizer in chains. There's something I never thought I'd see. So they really get it in there at the end. But yes, again, quick spoiler. Let me tell you. In the battle between the two historically colonized civilizations, it's a tie. So it's a total tie.
Well, they're tied for the greater good of taking down the White Knight, right?
Oh, the entire storyline is that Namor wants to kill everyone in the world. He wants mainly the colonizers.
Very original.
He wants to kill all the colonizers. That's the whole thing. And then, the drama proceeds from there. But I will say, for those who are keeping an eye out for like Illuminati symbology, the capstone, the eye of Providence, the pyramid with the eyeball in it, is just literally everywhere. Every single character has a pyramid with an eyeball, built into their super suit or their Mayan jewelry or whatever. So the sort of the triggering of the Illuminati watchers is sure to ring a lot of bells with this.
Do you think maybe
fun flick?
Sure. Do you think the Iger news, Bob Iger coming back as CEO of Disney? Do you think that's because I heard it's not doing too well. There's like some fatigue with some of the Disney products, and the stock prices are going down and stuff. So maybe they got to shift.
I didn't even know that. I honestly
didn't
hear that.
Yeah, this
that's
morning
news
or
to
yesterday.
Me right now.
Yeah. Bob Iger's coming back. What's his name? Shapik is stepping down. He's taking the heat for bad
That's
moves.
Very suspicious. Iger, he was one of the guys who stepped down right before the pandemic.
Yep,
was he not?
I think so.
Yeah, he was one of the hundreds of big time CEOs that knew ahead of time the pandemic coming and were like, okay, well, this is a good time to retire.
Yeah, he sees the big tsunami coming, and he's like, let me just step aside, and then once it settles and everything's
the Illuminati phone rang.
Everything's in shambles. Hey, Bob. Can you come fix our problem here? It's all a big mess now.
Yeah. There you go. So anyways, there you go. Go check it out if you're a Marvel head. It's pretty funny. But you'll notice, if you're familiar with like the same storyline they repeat in every single Marvel movie, you'll feel how they're like battling again. You're like, oh my gosh, they don't even know how they're going to end this movie. And with that, it's time to thank some executive producers, guys.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks, to run the value for value model, which is simple. We take no corporate money whatsoever. That's not what we do. We do not want to be trapped in the cycle that is becoming brand friendly. Because if there's one thing you say about this show, it is not brand friendly. And we don't want to feel any of the pressure that comes intrinsically with taking corporate money, even if they are not some evil lizard person corporation. We had some more corporation protectors recently.
I saw that.
I think we have some like corporation fans who just love corporations a lot. And, their arguments are entirely based on things that have nothing to do with why we're on the value for value model. So if they love corporations so much, there's plenty of independent news out there taking corporate money. So they are not going without. Don't worry, folks. But we're on the value for value model, which means we are only able to continue doing the show if people who get value from it put value back in. And you can do that with your time, your talent, or your treasure. So many ways to get involved. One of those is with your finances. And of course, that's greatly appreciated. And those who come in carry a heavy load and are honest and generous with how much value this show brings to their lives. They come in, they support the show. We call them executive producers. Unfortunately, today, Gons, no executive producers.
Yeah, maybe we should take that corporate money, huh?
I know. There's a group of people. Look, the time that it takes to thank people for value is not even the issue. Like, they think that we just don't like to take the time to advertise products. That's not the problem. The problem is not the time. The problem is the strings attached to that money. And look, again, we realize it's not every corporation is some sort of evil, world-dominating dark force. But the very act of taking corporate money is not only is it sort of affirming the system that has got the entire world in this quagmire in the first place, meaning news reporting, media in general, having to bend to the will of corporate finance, but also, there are things you simply cannot talk about because it's not brand friendly. So that's why we don't do it. And today, there's not yet any executive producers, but there's still time. If you want to produce the show, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And I think that's it. I think we should just get on with the show.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. Short one today, Gons, but still an important one. This is coming from VirginiaTech, VTX.vt.edu, VirginiaTech. And the headline is "Children Befriend Robots in Playful After-School Research Program."
Ooh,
Isn't that nice? Yeah. Some kids, they need some their parents' work. They don't want to be latchkey kids, so there's all these nice after-school programs. Well, some of them go a little bit further than just babysit your kids. They go ahead and create an environment where your children can learn not just about robots, but learn to love the robots. Let's read more here. It goes like this. With the touch of a screen, Pepper, the robot, came to life. Gentry Wetmore, 7, was there for it. She started moving her hands like a musical conductor as soon as the 4-foot-tall robot began talking, playing music, and waving its plastic human-like arms, fingers, and hands. Eventually, the second grader broke into a dance right there in the library at Eastern Montgomery Elementary School in Elliston. Quote, "It's so fun," Wetmore said after she slowed down to catch her breath. Quote, "I like robots." Dun, dun, dun. Her reaction matched many of the other students. In the midst of a loud library scene on a recent Wednesday afternoon, some sat on the floor trying to coax Aibo, a robot dog, to fetch a ball and walk towards them. Others experimented with oranges and a tomato that, when hooked up to a laptop, made different sounds at the touch. There was lots of laughing, even squealing. That's actually the purpose of the program. Laughing and Squealing Guns. That's the purpose of the program.
I'm for the robots.
Which is meant to help students become familiar with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math fields. All right, so we've seen this before, some sort of summer camp after-school program, encouraging kids to get into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, especially in rural areas. It's sort of a philanthropic thing to do, is let kids experience technology. And this goes kind of into quite a bit of what's available at the program, but I wanted to skip down just to keep it succinct here. Skip down to after the picture with the Asian teacher man and the kid in the blue shirt, Jurassic Park shirt, and the Pepper robot, because when I read these articles, I don't want to read the whole thing. It's all very PR, kind of boring, kind of yay robots, but there is always something in there to be concerned about. And here's the one in this article. It goes like this. This fall at Eastern Montgomery, the focus is introducing robots as social creatures, more so than science experiments. Okay,
they're social creatures, personhood.
So you've got the personhood of robots, the social creatures. They're not just science experiments. They're not some piece of technology. They are a part of society. That is what a social creature is at its core, is a member of society. It keeps going. The group of robots, which the research team purchased and programmed, talk, move, and respond to the students. Quote, "We really socialized these robots and introduced them as our companions." So remember, you've got young kids, 7 years old, maybe younger. Adults still kind of hold this like godlike position in a kid's life. I don't mean God in sort of the religious sense. I just mean like adults are all knowing. You trust adults. Adults tell you what is true. You do what adults tell you. That's what being 7 and in public school is all about. And the adults, Choi, this researcher, introduces the robots as their companions, not as a machine, not as an invention, as companions. Quote, "We are curious if it will alter children's perception of robots. We focused on the robot that has features that can act like humans or animals. It could be through speech, gesture, or facial expression." So specifically, the goal of this was to see. Now, remember, with kids like this age, you're not simply seeing what they think. Everything you do is programming their perception of reality. And they just come right out and say it is, we were trying to program these kids to see robots as people, as social creatures. And it goes on, gives a little bit more, the students, asking the students if they think that the robots breathe, whether they eat food to survive, et cetera, et cetera. Then it goes into this. Ultimately, the Eastern Montgomery students' curiosity is an important barometer for the researchers. Quote, "Being comfortable with technology, even though they don't know yet how to control it, this may truly spark their curiosity," Choi said. Quote, "We are focusing on their comfort with uncertainty." And, he says it in an interesting way. We're focusing on their comfort with uncertainty. When you take a second, kind of analyze the way that they went through this, they're actually kind of taking advantage of their comfort with uncertainty. Because what does a child do when they are uncertain? They seek out an adult. If you're uncertain, you seek out an adult, and the adult tells you what to be certain about. And in this case, these kids don't really understand robots. They don't even really understand that they're not people. I've talked about, some kids that I know that don't, they think that Siri is a person, or that Alexa is an actual person. Maybe not a human, but a person. And it's very interesting. in this after-school program filled with kids who are, of course, it's being advertised as a way to get them interested in science. And yet, it says right there in the quotes that they're really socialized. They socialized the robots and introduced them as companions. So those kids will see the robots as social creatures and not machines. Now, some might might explain this like, getting kids interested in technology, inspiring them to become roboticists or whatever. Some might consider it indoctrination, that robots are people and get used to it because it's not going away.
Yeah, I think that summarizes it. The concept of over-socialization is a problem right now. I mean, that's really what led to the whole woke propaganda, progressive left, all that kind of stuff was over-socializing an entire generation. So, under-socialization was a big part of the disaster of the COVID school closures. That's right, yep.
So it's really interesting that the willingness to play fast and loose with the socialization of children, both over-socializing them in a political way, under-socializing them in a, I don't even know what you want to call it.
Real social way,
yeah, right. Or, kind of, I don't know, robo-socializing them to find ways to, again, whether or not Choi is some sort of technocratic, world-dominating, crazy technocrat remains to be seen. He could very well be a nice guy who loves the unsettling part on these kids' socialization.
Yeah, you cut out for a second there on my end, but you know
what? That's been happening a lot, and we've been hearing a lot of issues with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get in contact with my internet guy because. Of course, the podcast version of the show, that's a good thing to remember, folks. If you watch live and the internet is like cutting out and my voice cuts out, the podcast version of the show is super clean. 99% of the time, super clean, way higher audio quality, and not as many problems with me dipping out. So check out the podcast version if you want a better version of it.
Yep, there you go. My brain is not really firing on all cylinders today. It's really a problem. It's because I'll have a thought and I'll go, oh yeah, this is an important thought, and then something else will happen. I'll go, I just completely forgot what that thought was.
Somebody get this guy on some Adderall.
Hey, give me no, keep it away. Keep it away. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up the Flippy update and move us right into our next topic here, which. Oh boy, what is it? What is the topic? It's the most
gun control.
Yeah.
Gun violence is an epidemic. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests?
Forgot about those jingles.
The deer are wearing Kevlar vests. Yeah, big news event over the weekend. Of course, the Club Q shooting has reignited. It was about time that the gun control conversation got reignited in the national media. It's been gone quiet for a little bit. Oopsies. Let's see here. I'm just going to bring this. Surely everybody's heard about it by now, but I thought a very interesting piece of reporting happened over at CBSNews.com. And the headline says this: Club Q suspect faces murder, bias-motivated charges in deadly shooting. Now, bias motivated. I'd read plenty of articles about this, seen plenty of tweets. The whole thing erupted. And of course, what's sort of the main topic, the main vocabulary word being used is hate crime. This was a hate crime, or the police are investigating hate crimes. We're going to be checking into his social media because this was a hate crime against LGBTQ+, et cetera, et cetera. Hate. But CBS used this term that I don't know if I've ever heard before. Fellas, might be facing bias-motivated charges in deadly shooting, which is a very, very gentle way to say hate crime without saying the words hate crime. But also, I mean, immediately, bias-motivated, by definition, everything any person ever does could technically be called bias motivated. But let's
before you go on, I just want to bring this website here, the justice, or no, not the, but justice.gov. It's the DOJ website here. They have learn about hate crimes, and it's got a little formula here: a crime plus motivation for committing the crime based on bias equals hate crime. So the bias is
based
part
on
of the equation.
Bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is this language of bias? As if the fine people at our corporate news organizations don't, commit bias motivated acts every day. This idea that, having a bias is considered just a part of being a human. That's how a brain works. Every brain has certain biases. Right. Now, it's important for us to recognize biases and try not to let them, rule us without our permission. But yeah, bias motivated reasoning or bias motivated anything, touches every act somebody does. Let's continue.
Let me just read this. I'm sorry. Just because set it up.
It's good.
It says here, hate. This is back to the DOJ website. The term hate can be misleading when used in a hate crime law. The word hate does not mean rage, anger, or general dislike. In this context, hate means bias against people or groups with specific characteristics that are defined by the law. And then there's like a little quote thing on the side here. Under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, people cannot be prosecuted simply for their beliefs. People may be offended or upset about beliefs that are untrue or based upon false stereotypes, but it is not a crime to express offensive beliefs or to join with others who share such views. However,
the First Amendment, in 2022, that's news to me.
However, the First Amendment does not protect against committing a crime just because the conduct is rooted in philosophical beliefs. So,
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
crime is crime.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's interesting because that goes directly against some of the reporting that we saw during, the riots of 2020. That committing the violence, burning down buildings and beating people up was all justified because of the bias of the people committing the crime. Right. But that's okay. We don't need to relitigate 2020. Although maybe we do, but not now. Here's the article. The Club Q suspected gunman faces at least...
Q
the miserable...
Q. Sorry, continue.
Yes, of course. Just pointed out
the letter Q, yes, is part of the alphabet.
The club was called Club Q. Q like... the letter Q and no other connection
Nothing
whatsoever.
Else.
The Club Q suspected. I mean, it's the YouTube algorithms have got to have it running in overdrive today because we know that those algorithms pick out everything that just uses the letter Q. If you say Q in a YouTube video, the algorithms automatically tag your content.
Hey, it's time for Q&A. What is this? What
sometimes
false information are they spreading? Continue.
Yeah, right. So the servers at YouTube HQ are overheating today.
Yeah.
The Club Q suspected gunman faces at least 10 charges in the deadly shooting, including 5 charges of first-degree murder and 5 charges of bias-motivated crime. It's just weird to see it put that way. 5 people were killed and 19 others injured in the Saturday night shooting in Colorado Springs. That number was revised on Monday afternoon from 25 injured to 19, with 17 of those suffering gunshot wounds.
Wow.
So
somebody's
6 people
healing people.
6 people formerly thought to be injured, I guess, are now categorized as otherwise. The 5 victims who died in the shooting have been identified as Ashley Paw, and then they put their, what are they called?
I forget now.
Why are none of our brains
our brains are just done right now.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Tough Monday.
Yeah, it is.
Somebody in the chat. The pronouns. Pronouns.
Yes.
Pronouns. So they got the pronouns here. Identified as Ashley Paw, she, her. Daniel Aston, he, him. Derek Rump, he, him. Kelly Loving, she, her. Raymond Green Vance, he, him. Police credit patrons with stopping the gunman from causing even more bloodshed at the LGBTQ nightclub. Police said one patron grabbed the gun from the suspect, hitting him with it and pinning him down until officers arrived. Quote, had that individual not intervened, this could have been exponentially more tragic, Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers said. Law enforcement said the suspect used an AR-15 style semi-automatic weapon. That's a quote. Yeah, love it. AR-15 style is back in the attack, but a handgun and additional ammunition magazines were also recovered. The gold 2005 Toyota Highlander that was towed away from the scene at Club Q is registered to Aldrich. Ooh. Gold Toyota Highlander towed away. Club Q on its Facebook page thanked the quick reaction of heroic customers that subdued the gunman and ended this hate attack. The suspect remains in custody with no bond and is in the hospital with unspecific injuries. He has been identified. Now, I'm going to read this. Let me know. Just hit that bell when anything sounds familiar to you. He has been identified as Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22. That's right. Questions are being raised about why authorities didn't seek to take Aldrich's guns away from him in 2021.
Oh, that sounds like I feel like I'm time traveling. This is a weird. Yeah, okay.
There's more. When he was arrested after his mother reported he threatened her with a homemade bomb and other weapons.
Homemade bomb?
It is.
What is this guy doing out in the streets?
Look,
how is he a free man?
It is an incredible replay of pretty much every single suspect in a crime like this over the past at least 3 years, possibly even longer. He's in the age range 18 to 23, as we've identified. They are all 18 to 23. Every single one of them has had a run-in with police, a violent threat or a violent act, something where police were aware of this individual within 2 years. I mean, the timeline of every single one of these guys is without fail. In the past year or two, they had gotten in trouble with the police for threatening. It's usually their mother. Their mother, like the
mother does show up a lot.
They must always show up.
They must be part of the developing of the mind control there, you know?
Well, you know, that's mothers have quite the influence on their sons. So, you know, it's always a 18 to 23-year-old. It's always a kid who had just had a run-in with police in the past 1 or 2 years.
Has history.
And there's always has history with violence against the mother, whether it's threats or something else. And of course, then it goes. Let's see. I'll read on real quick. Though authorities at the time said no explosives were found, gun control advocates are asking why police didn't try to trigger Colorado's red flag law, which would have allowed authorities to seize the weapons his mother says he had. There's also no public record that prosecutors ever moved forward with felony kidnapping and menacing charges against Aldrich. So again, the exact same story where the kid was a candidate, an obvious candidate for a red flag law to take away the guns. An obvious candidate for federal violence charges, which again never were prosecuted. This happened, I believe it was the Uvalde shooter who had almost this exact storyline.
It's almost like they become assets and they just they deploy. when given certain.
Why not put this kid in jail after threatening his mother with a bomb?
There's a useful scenario where he shoots up a club.
That's certainly what the conspiracy theorists would be led to think.
You know what they should have?
Who is suspicious, that's exactly what they would think. I mean, that's what we see in movies all the time. You know, somebody does something crazy, then the man in the black suit makes the file disappear. Then a year later, something else happens. I mean, it's a storyline we've seen over and over and over.
They should. I know the red flag laws have their issues, but they should just have a sort of like a conspiracy theorists red flag index or something where there's something not right, you know, they just put a number on it. They don't have to necessarily listen to it, just so that there's some kind of record of the public, being suspicious about the patterns that arise from these kinds of events.
We should do this?
No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe law enforcement definitely should, but maybe that's...
You know what would spot this easy is an AI, Gons. Let's get AI. We need some pre-crime AI.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
get them involved here.
Yeah.
And then it goes on. Michael Allen, the 4th Judicial District Attorney, said that the suspect has not formally been charged as of Monday afternoon. Aldrich is scheduled to appear before a judge via video at a future date. A bias-motivated crime is defined as a crime with intent to intimidate or harass another person because of their perceived race, religion, sexual orientation, among other things. Colorado's law changed last year, and now bias motivation only needs to be part of the offender's motivation in committing the crime. Some of those injured were hurt trying to get away from the shooter. At least 7 were in critical condition. And it goes on with more heartfelt messages from politicians and stuff.
Politicians. Yeah.
Now, this, where was I going to go with this? Where's the thing that I just read? Come on. Where is it? Okay, so
talking about the bias crime is defined as a crime with intent to intimidate.
I'm talking about specifically about reporting. So usually within an hour of something like this happens, a full comb through of the person's social media has been completed.
Yeah.
The Instagram has handed over their private messages. The complete cyber life of this person is known and being reported on. Now, there's obviously a lot of reporting going on, and I have not read every single piece of reporting, but the ones that I did read, and there were many, they all said, oh, well, we don't know if this was bias motivated. We don't know if it was a hate crime. We're going to go through his social media, et cetera, et cetera. What I don't see that I do see with every single other shooter is screenshots of his social media and pointing out that he was a Trump supporter, pointing out that he was a bigot, picking out his tweets, picking out his Instagram posts, picking out everything, putting together a sort of cloud-based, a crowd investigation where, just normal people go nuts and putting out the messaging about how this guy was a Republican Trump supporter, et cetera, et cetera. I have not seen any of that so far. Have you?
No, I haven't paid too much attention to it. I saw the news break.
It makes me wonder what was actually on this kid's social media, and if it's inconvenient to the national storyline that it's the crazy right-wing white supremacists, incels who are committing all these crimes.
Yeah.
Now, we'll keep an eye out, and I'm sure, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. It is early, but it's not too early for the crowd.
Usually there's stuff. Yeah, usually the crowd finds stuff.
It's usually immediately that all this info is available. So we'll keep an eye out for it, but a lot of really strange details about this whole thing.
Yeah, and patterns that seem to emerge almost every time something like this happens.
Oh yeah, it's the craziest thing.
Yeah. So this is America. Club Q shooting, scary for the transgender community or the gay community or minorities or whoever it is. And this, I think that, timing wise, of course, we're in the post-election, the midterm elections. We, like you said, we haven't had a gun control story in a while. And so there's all these reasons. But there's also something else going on around the world that I think it just in the spirit of contrasting narratives and shaping how the world sees the United States in particular, is the whole World Cup, which is SPORTSBALL, Basil.
I'm watching a Sports did good. Ooh, did the ball go?
But it also has to do with Elon Musk and money and beast system and value for value and all kinds of stuff here.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This is Indy.co.uk. And the headline here, why advertisers have to stick with Qatar but not with Twitter.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good question. It says here the World Cup needs advertisers, but the advertisers need the World Cup more. Twitter needs advertisers, but advertisers can get along without Twitter. Burn, Elon. Two of the biggest stories of the moment gives a stark illustration of the power and lack of it in the media space. The World Cup is huge. An estimated 5 billion people will watch it out of the 8 billion of us on the planet. And by the way, I think somebody sent us a link to, I think it was either the UN or maybe it was the some world institution. Maybe it was the World Economic Forum. They did a whole thing where it's like, hey, we've officially reached 8 billion on our population. So there you go.
Yeah,
we have now breached that mark, 8 billion people. So 5 billion people will watch it. Oh man, that's a lot. That's way ahead of the Tour de France, 3.6 billion, and Olympics, 3.6 billion, and 2.6 billion for the Cricket World Cup in 2019. For any advertiser with global ambitions, access to nearly 2/3 of the world's population is one of the things you cannot ignore, even if within some of your markets there is political pushback against the regime of the host country. You may make a strategic decision that your marketing budget is better spent elsewhere, but if you take the plunge, you stick with it because you already gave so much money. And so the main advertisers have hung in there. Bloomberg went around the biggest hitters, including Adidas. Or is it Adidas? I don't know how you're supposed to say that. Volkswagen and Coca-Cola, asking them about their position. Quote, none of the 7 FIFA sponsors said they would make any changes to their global advertising plans to reflect concerns for human rights, it reported. How horrible for all of these companies. Of the 69 sponsors of national teams contacted by the company, 20 responded to confirm their commitment to human rights, though they would not say if or how their marketing might change, while 13 said they would make adjustments, but these were mostly enterprises that have little business with Qatar. As far as Qatar is concerned, there is the wider point that it is currently in an extremely powerful position in that last year it was the 3rd largest gas exporter in the world after Russia and the US. Its commercial clout is based on that, not the hosting of the World Cup. Now contrast that with Twitter. Since Elon Musk took over, a string of companies have canceled or suspended their advertising on the social media platform. These include General Mills. For non-Americans, it is a huge producer of packaged foods, including Cheerios, Dunkaroos, and Haagen-Dazs, and Audi. Leave aside General Mills because it is very much an American corporation, but Audi, is Musk's record on human rights more morally reprehensible than that of Qatar, which Audi's sister brand VW is happy to support? He has certainly made a huge contribution to the environment, leading the switch to electric cars, so many that should be on his side of the scale, with Qatar's natural gas exports on the other side. Actually, I don't think it's helpful for an economics commentator to opine on moral issues such as this. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I do think it is right to point out where power lies. In the case of Twitter, it is with the advertisers, whereas in the case with the World Cup, it is not. Why? There are several parts to the answer. One is that the key audience for the World Cup are not American, so the U.S. view of the world and the values of many of its citizens are not relevant in that sphere, whereas on Twitter, they are. And then there's a parenthesis, writing this in Washington, D.C., I think it's quite difficult for liberal Americans to accept that there is a world in which the ideas that dominate the debate here are simply not thought about very much elsewhere. Again, burn America. Another is that while advertising on Twitter gets you to an important segment of the top-end market, it does not get you to the burgeoning global middle class of India, China, Nigeria, Indonesia, and so on. Still, this is interesting to me. So America is sort of, the middle class being destroyed. It's almost being ignored in a sense. There are these other rising middle class nations. Still, another is the difference between online advertising and mainstream media. Online revenues are surging, squeezing out mainstream and legacy media, but the World Cup is a mainstream event. Actually, the greatest one. So it offers a way to fight back, which is especially important for television. Basil, did you know the World Cup gives the mainstream media and legacy media an opportunity to fight back against the rise of online advertising, which is, it's sort of a...
I guess in the context of, the advertising business, I could see this is their moment, an actual, cable television event that people will actually watch.
Yeah. And it's funny because you can kind of see what they've destroyed over the years when it comes to world event. Like the Olympics used to be a lot more kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just the generation I was born in, but it just seemed more like, oh, it's a community thing. And then it just got more and more woke-ish thing, So is the NCAA, so is the Super Bowl and football. I mean, it's been permeating all throughout, but it's just interesting how the distribution or the ability to publish or advertise has gotten wider. The ability for the mainstream, like their products, I suppose, their outlets have become smaller, but then like bigger. There's just only one left. It's the biggest one. This is the World Cup. Yeah. After this, it's over. It's alien time. And then they get into Elon Musk and all that kind of stuff.
So what is the purpose? It seems like the comparing advertising at the World Cup to advertising at Twitter was more just like a gimmick. Like that, the framing of the article in that way seems to be more of a gimmick than an actual piece of news.
Yeah, well,
is that the feeling that you get?
A little bit, yeah. I'm just more interested in why bring up the Qatar thing and why bring up any of this and not address the elephant in the room, which is
Qatar is a theocratic monarchy that throws gay people off of buildings.
And which it's just hilarious to me. And so I have this other one here, still indie.co.uk. It published around the same time. And this headline here is Qatar World Cup opening ceremony showed that BBC can do both sports and politics, which is like, because most people watch sports to get away from politics. Most people do sports or watch sports as sort of an escape from all the craziness going on. So, to politicize sports, especially at this level, the World Cup is the biggest event when it comes to the world
and
watching.
FIFA, the organization that puts on the World Cup, is notoriously the most corrupt organization in the world. And, I had heard here and there just the stuff I was catching about the World Cup because I wasn't really seeking it out. But I was catching some things, and a lot of it was like all the corruption that went into getting it to happen in Qatar. Part of the deal was Qatar is a dry country. At least I don't know if it technically is that defines itself at that, but it's a theocratic monarchy. No alcohol, or like alcohol is
right. It's like banned
in lots of ways. Yeah, I mean it's still there, but it's not like, I don't know. It's just not. It doesn't flow in the streets like it does in the U.S. and other places. Sure. So part of the deal making with Qatar was basically FIFA was just like, okay, but you have to serve beer at the World Cup. You have to. That's non-negotiable. You have to serve beer at the World Cup. And Qatar is like, yes, okay, all right, we'll serve beer at the World Cup. And then it was like 2 days ago, Qatar is like, we'll serve beer 45 minutes away from where the World Cup is taking place. So you have to take a bus to a place outside the World Cup, 45 minutes away. You can drink beer there, but then you got to drink all your beer, get on a bus for 45 minutes to get to the actual stadium. And I was like, wow,
you don't think there's going to be smugglers into the stadium there?
The black market for beer at the World Cup is going to be incredible.
That's where the money's made.
This is like the level of corruption that's being talked about in the mainstream. Not that like Qatar held the world hostage with oil, or that FIFA is the most infamous corrupt organization and wield their power to change geopolitical history. No. The big news was, can the USA beat Wales? And can you believe there's no beer at the World Cup?
Yeah, what are you going to fill the cup with? So let me just read this from the article from this Indy.co.uk article with the headline, Qatar World Cup opening ceremony showed the BBC can do both sports and politics. And again, the contrast here between the U.S. and, especially because of the Club Q shooting, says here at the Olympics. So, okay, hold on. Opening ceremonies to major sporting events are, in the robust opinion of a committed sports fan, a sop to the people who love the drama and spectacle of international commingling, but have little interest in the games being played. Yeah, what they don't say is all the propaganda and symbology all that goes on with these opening ceremonies. At the Olympics, they have become an enormous gaudy art form in their own right, from the jaw-dropping show at Beijing's Bird Nest to the cringe-induced Fantasia of London 2012. Remember the cringe-induced Fantasia, Basil, where you thought for sure a UFO was going to land at the London 2012 Olympics?
The Olympics?
They're just mentioning it as the gaudy opening ceremonies of these international events. The London 2012. Anytime London 2012 is brought up, I just want to. I like reminding everybody that was one of your
Illuminati watcher ceremonies there.
Yeah, well, yes, but your specific prediction at the London Games that a UFO would appear. That was that. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I was very convinced. Yeah, I was not the only one convinced.
I'm just saying.
The whole online, alien community was like, this is it. It's happening.
It's on the Illuminati card. But they've never been such a big part of World Cups. Perhaps the only lasting memory of an opening ceremony is Diana Ross missing with the goal at her mercy during the 1994 curtain-raising bonanza. On Saturday, Gianni Infantino, the polyglot head of FIFA, set the tone for this tournament's opening. Sat at a press conference, an array of sponsored items laid out before him, like the Generation Game conveyor belt. Infantino gave an impassioned defense of the tournament. Quote, "Today, I feel Qatari," he announced to the assembled delegates of the world's media. Quote, "Today, I feel Arab. Today, I feel African. Today, I feel gay. Today, I feel disabled. Today, I feel a migrant worker." His words went down like a snog of Doha. You've stuck a bum note when even Alan Shearer calls it rubbish. So, it's just interesting. It's being painted as cringe and weird, but also it's just so transformative. And the BBC, the article goes on to sort of highlight how BBC weaved this, or was able to play this balancing act where they're addressing the concerns, yet, honoring the hosting and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, they're kind of doing what we do with mainstream media, where we kind of deconstruct, compare different outlets. That's what this piece is doing with the world and with BBC International or BBC Sports or whatever. And I just find it interesting that the topic of value for value comes into this conversation with advertisers, and the topic of deconstruction comes in. Both Indy.co.uk, bringing that sort of analysis to the mainstream is very interesting to me, and to see it at the World Cup level, I don't know, is this a sign for what's to come? Are we going to be pushed out?
It's very gentle, though.
It is gentle, you're right.
You can tell they're trying not to get themselves in trouble with their media bros.
Yeah, of course.
It's like they're trying to point out what we point out every single episode of this show now for years. Mm-hmm. Did my video just go away?
It did, yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Mm-hmm. Why did that happen? It's like they're trying to point out the very basis of why this show is structured the way that it is. But also they're doing it in a room surrounded by their peers who stand to lose billions of dollars if people actually catch on to the fact that it is a moral and ethical tightrope that keeping it in the dark, keeping the people in the dark about the competing motivations of the media and advertising and advertisers, and keeping them in the whole system requires that people don't think about the system.
Yeah.
Because it starts falling apart in their hands, slipping between their fingers like so many grains of sand.
I think that's the takeaway here with these, the couple stories here about Qatar and the World Cup is that we are going to go through this, and we're currently going through this reset, right? The great reset that Klaus has been trying to talk about and do and all this. It's not an overnight thing. It's like maybe a few years thing. So as this happens,
decades.
Yeah, the economic flow, the cash flow, if you will, is changing. The pipelines are changing. They got to rebuild stuff. You got to replug stuff. Patch up certain things. So when it comes to this clash, it's almost really obvious the clash between the legacy system and this new online system or whatever. And it's almost like anytime, and this is true with worldviews, anytime something happens where it shatters a prior worldview or a certain infrastructure or something that's been in place, the standards that has been the kind of not the prototype, what's the word I'm looking for, status quo of how things operate, everything gets blown up, and then everybody reconvenes in new groups, new pockets, new flows of money, new systems, and it's almost like they're preparing for that, and they know that this is happening. And so even the mainstream media, Indy.co.uk, which we've talked about, who owns those outlets, are seemingly trying to move in that direction where they're, and I'm seeing it with CNN too, where they're like, oh, we're stepping back. We're just becoming more analysis. We're trying to not become the news. We're trying to, and all that kind of stuff. It's that currency of trust again, trying to buy trust back from the public, which leads us to CNN specifically. And we got a little Chris Licht update.
Chris Licht, president of CNN.
It's always fun to be able to play that jingle because we don't always hear from Chris Licht. But here we go. This is Hollywood Reporter.
Reporter.com. And this is just this is sorry.
You must have cut out because I was talking and then you came in and you were talking over
annoying.
me. Yeah, this is fun.
So annoying. All right. Yeah. I was going to say, this is just kind of like a quick update, but why don't you want to take us through it?
Sure. Yeah. The headline here is layoffs to hit CNN as CEO Chris Licht tells staff that restructuring will accelerate soon. Hey, there's that word again, restructuring. Didn't Klaus talk about how we need to restructure everything as part of the Great Reset? There it is again. Basically, CNN will see layoffs and other cuts in the coming weeks as the global news division responds to a worsening economic climate as Warner Brothers Discovery continues its efforts to bring together the Warner Media and Discovery businesses. CNN CEO Chris Licht explained the rationale in a memo to staff Wednesday, adding that, quote, our aim is to have most of these decisions made by the end of the year so we can start 2023 feeling settled and prepared for the future. Employees at CNN have been bracing for the changes since Licht began a review of the news division's business lines and its programming. On the programming front, CNN is set to debut a new morning show next month and canceled the Sunday morning show Reliable Sources. Licht is expecting to make further changes to CNN's primetime and weekend lineups in the coming months. Licht did not divulge where the cuts will come from, though he said leadership, quote, will be strategic on this process and will minimize the impact on our core news gathering operation and digital, both of which have already executed smart changes. I like that. We have implemented our smart changes.
Yeah. What the interesting part about this is it's a pullback. We saw in the past few years CNN branching out, spreading its wings, trying to get into digital, getting into the commentary game, getting into the social engineering space, doing all the branching its tentacles out from strictly, which it never really was, especially starting about 2015, never really was a news organization in its strictest definition. And while the traditional business the traditional business advice or strategy is, you start with one product and then you spread out as much as you can, as long as it's profitable, to cover more market share, or maybe even to get into other markets. That's how you become a sort of global mega corporation.
Amazon the bookstore, and now Amazon the everything. Yeah,
exactly. And so this was normal. CNN was just sort of following the normal course of big business. And essentially what they're doing now is they are contracting as far in as possible, starting, of course, with chopping their digital division, CNN Plus, which was really fun to watch. But it's sort of what Elon is doing with Twitter. He went from almost 8,000 employees to 50 employees, and even more are going to be cut out. It's this extreme shrinking as far as the operations that these big businesses are even capable of doing. And that's
it's almost like we're in a recession.
What CNN is doing. Yeah, it's almost like the broader economic meta conditions of our time are forcing even the most too big to fail corporations to pare down.
No, the economy's stronger than ever.
Yeah, that's not what recession is, folks. Anyways, it is just sort of gleeful to follow the story of CNN, sort of aging like Benjamin Button, getting older and yet turning into a baby.
I have concerns for one particular individual.
Shill for sure.
Will he survive the burning?
You know what? Chris has survived so many of these cullings. I have confidence. I don't know how he did it. I don't know what deal he has with CNN. He has been able to dodge and weave through so many rounds of this catastrophe that is CNN. I'm sure he'll come out on top in one way or another. I think that's what his podcast is for. Bong Thoughts with Chris Shilzilla. Trying to, because I've gone through. I'm not going to rant on it right now, but what people are realizing, and this is what cable news is realizing, is that they're quote unquote famous people that they have, that they made famous. The Brian Stelzers, the Chris Shilzillas, even the Anderson Coopers, the all these guys. They are only famous because they work for these big organizations. They don't intrinsically draw in an audience. They're not good at what they do. They just are the ones who got the job because they navigated the corporate world well.
Oh, they're manufactured celebrities? Is that what I thought these people are just genuine famous people?
No, they're manufactured celebrities. We've seen over and over. When this happens, they have an incredibly hard time making a living for themselves in sort of the indie world like us, Gons. Who is the other one? Chris, the bad man.
It's Cuomo prime time.
I do it with everyone.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
That's right. We saw it with Chris Cuomo. All these guys trying their hardest to be like, "Hey, I was a famous person. Let me just go out, activate my fans, and I can start making a living again." And they find out that they don't actually have any fans. They were just famous because they were on TV
or in government. What's the other one? Cuomo's in particular.
Well,
but yeah,
Cuomo's brother, right? But Chris Shilzilla, he sees what's coming. He was always the digital native. He was CNN's YouTube guy. He's doing the podcast. I think he's doing what everybody else now is trying to do, but he's just doing it while he also has a job still. To kind of build himself a little parachute in case things go bad. But it's the skills that you learn when, being an indie podcaster, being an independent media creator, you learn the skills that it takes to, run on a skeleton budget, run on a skeleton crew, kind of like this show. It's basically you and I, and it's only by the grace of God that we have producers volunteering their time. But I think Chris is getting in those. He's getting that experience early with his bong thoughts with Chris Shilzilla. So maybe he can land on his feet. But I have a feeling he's keeping his head down. That's the benefit of Chris Shilzilla. He's been keeping his head down. He might not be allowed to step foot into the CNN studio, and they may have taken his nameplate down off of the office space and revoked his key card to the CNN building. But he's technically still employed, and he's keeping his head down. I hope you make it through this, Chris. We're rooting for you. Well,
maybe he can come to our party.
Yeah, let's do it.
Go to canarycry.party. It's a real URL. Find all the things that we do, the links to watch the show, listen to the show, how to produce the show, connect with us and the community.
That's right. Go check it out. There's all sorts of good stuff for you there, folks. Resources out the wazoo. You can also listen to Ravel, which is a podcast I do with Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates, who's got a PhD in biblical interpretation. We explore society, scripture, and scandal, having tough conversations in good faith. You can listen to it right there at canarycry.party or whatever podcast player you enjoy. You can also check out the Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. Very nice resource there. You can join the newsletter or join our text message alert system. Those are both very important things to do if you want to make sure to stay in touch with us when we mysteriously disappear off your favorite platform. You can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226 to sign up for that directly as well. And with that, I want to thank some producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
Value for value model, folks. You know it. You love it. It's the only way that we survive because we do not adhere to the current global theology that is the advertising model. Now, with this, and this today is a great day to point this out. The downside of the value for value model is that it is risky. It is risky business. It is an act of faith to commit to the value for value model. By the grace of God, we have been taken care of for the past 3 years in the current form of this show through the value for value model, and we have faith and expect to go much longer than that. But today is a good example of some of the dark side of the value for value model, which is support sometimes. Well, support is always pretty much directly connected with two things. One, the economic stability of your listeners, which is you guys, and also the value that you bring to their life. Now, the scary part is trying to figure out exactly which one of those is the current issue, which is, of course, is it just macroeconomic forces that are
of course. I think macro does affect the situation here.
Of course it does.
Especially right now. It's like, hey, you want to give value back to the podcast, or do you want a turkey this week? I can understand the challenges that come with that.
Obvious. That is obvious that this week, especially, that is the biggest aspect in today's producership. But also, it also requires that we constantly reassess whether or not we are creating value. And that's the good part about it is guns. It keeps us accountable to who? Not advertisers, keeps us accountable to the people who get value from our show, which is a good aspect of, you can sum up the value for value model in that sentence, which is value for value makes us accountable to our listeners, whereas an advertising model just makes us accountable to our advertisers. And it's that accountability to advertisers that is really the nasty part about the advertising model. We don't even need to go into evil global corporations or anything. It's just, who do you want us to be accountable to? You or our advertisers? And it's you, and it'll always be you. But we have the way that it works, value for value, is if this show brings value to your life, you can put value back in. Indeed, it's the only way we continue, is if you put value back in, either with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We got a few people to thank, starting with one supply dropper.
Ooh, yes.
Yes. You know it, you love it. It's the Canary Cry Supply Drop. Head on over to canarycrysupply.com, where you can support the show for $33.33 per month. Yes, it's a cheeky number. Don't worry, we are not in the Illuminati, but it is a way to both mock and reclaim a number that is usually used for secret messaging. But for us, it breaks down to $2.77 per episode. Does this show bring $2.77 of value to your life? If it does, head on over to canarycrysupply.com. And I would like to thank new supply dropper Patricia F. for signing up.
Patricia, thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you very much. Good news is, Gons, the short list today, it'll go fast. I do want to do a make good, retroactive. Last episode, Johnny Cool came in, supported the show during the show, and I didn't realize it because we don't track these things, folks. You have to tell us. But Johnny Cool, that was his demooching. So let's go ahead and give producer Johnny Cool a demooching. There you go. Thank you very much, producer Johnny Cool. Sorry we missed that the first time around. I don't know if you're watching live today, but hopefully you catch that. Maybe one of your friends will let you know. Okay, let's continue. Starting with producer Malik W. He's on a 2-episode streak. Malik.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
It's a Malik streak. Next, we've got Sir Morv, Night of the Burning Cherry. It's 11/11, 168 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Morv.
Thank you, Morv. Next up, we got Sir Alex Protocol V2, Night of the Berean Protocol, Sevens and Fees, coming in 103 episodes in a row.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol V2.
Indeed. Well, Gons, I hope you bought your turkey last week, because that is it. That is the list of producers who came in above $7.77, which entitles them to have a note right on the show. We've got a few people who came in underneath that amount, and we're just going to thank them right now.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, starting with Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas, 74 episodes in a row.
Thank you.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 198 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Canary, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, 234 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Oh, thank you. Next up, we got Streak Sister Veronica D, 198 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 223 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Runk Smash, 19 episodes in a row. Thank you, all of our streakers coming in under the 777 cutoff, but your faithfulness truly is inspiring.
Tweakers. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Best thing on 2 feet. Women rule.
Oh, yeah. Streakalicious.
Yeah.
Do we have a knighting today?
Yes.
Remember Sir Eli came in 556 and was getting an insta-knighting? Did we ever actually do that?
I don't think so, but we just got the name today.
Oh, we got it today.
We got the name, the name today, so we can officially go
Okay, I was seeing that note. Okay, that makes sense. Do we need to read this note, or are we just going with the...
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it's fine reading.
All right. Sounds good. Let's do a knighting.
Okay, well, let me pull out my sword.
Well, yeah, do that. Now, here's mine. It's the little one. but it is beautiful. The Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. Sorry, my brain fritzed again.
Hey,
really is a Monday,
it's the
folks.
theme of the show today.
Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. If you haven't heard, it's a wonderful, noble squadron of knights and dames who have supported this show in the amount of $1,000 or more, or they have come in during one of our knight and dame drives, usually an episode that has 3 digits in a row, 555. And that's what Sir Eli did, or Eli P did, and we will knight him today in his place of honor at the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. I'm ready when you are, Gons. All right, we want to call up Eli P. Please step forward to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, where we have a seat for you. Thanks to your generous support of Canary Cry News Talk, we are proud to pronounce you Sir Eli P. of the Amateur Martial Artists and Aspiring LARPers. Please join us at the Canary Cry Roundtable, where we have the belt of truthful truthiness, breastplate of righteousness, custom fit Birkenstocks to carry forth the gospel of peace, the shield of ferocious faith, the helmet of substantiating salvation, the supernatural sword of the spirit, and, of course, we've got adorable samurai babies, infinitely cute kitties for cuddling, and if you're hungry, we've got fancy feast, wet food, carved Cosmo, the CRISPR cow, and fried wormicorns. Welcome to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, Sir Eli P. of the Amateur Martial Artists and Aspiring LARPers. That's right. The crowd goes wild, Sir Eli. You know, the good news is, Gons, if you're an aspiring LARPer, all you really got to do is LARP as a LARPer. And then you're doing it. You're a professional LARPer at that point. Thank you very much, Sir Eli.
Thank you, Sir
Thank
Eli.
you for all your support, your continued support, and hope to keep you around.
Yeah.
And everybody, make sure to bring tribute to Sir Eli P.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Ready to wake up and keep going.
Yes,
Let's
it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake
hold
up.
on.
We got to shut
Got
off
a couple
YouTube.
things to do. Well, we got a couple other things, starting with thank everybody for the patronage.
Yes.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
And remind them that if they'd like to become a producer of the show, they can go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support. Now shut down YouTube.
Okay, now YouTubers, I'm gonna put a link into the chat. Where do we want them to go today, Gons?
Well, Rumble or
D-Live.
Yeah,
probably D-Live. That's the one that gets. If you want the chat
yeah.
on the screen, so the D-Live chat goes on the screen. Let's see, what is that? That's dlive.tv/ccnt. Let me check. No, I don't think that's it. Which one is it? Oh, I didn't put a slash. I put an apostrophe. Apostrophes don't work in links, folks, in case you needed internet advice today. I'm going to put this here. If you're on YouTube, get off YouTube, just generally, entirely, altogether, forever. But also, right now is a good time to do it. That link is also not working. Are we off? No, we can't possibly be off of D-Live.
No.
Do you have a chat? Do you have a link for the D-Live?
We should. Let me double check.
My thing isn't working. Oh, okay. It's not CCNT. It's the full spelling out of Canary Cry News Talk. Here you go. There's the real link. All right, head on over to D-Live. We're also on Rumble. We're on Odyssey. We're on Rockfin. We're all over the place. You just got to wean yourself off of the YouTube. Sorry. I mean, if you want content that's hot like this one, got to get off the YouTubes. So there you go. There's the link. Go follow that. Join up. Chat. Your stuff will be on the screen still, because what follows this warning is too hot for YouTube.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Go to Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is. You can find all those links at canarycry.party as well. Bye.
Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube.
Now you see me, now you don't.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Corona time. COVID-19, 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 coronavirus.
I am vaccine. I am vaccine. Vaccine, number one way.
Yes. COVID vaccine, number one way. We can say it all we want now because we're not on YouTube no more.
Big day. Big day for the post-COVID amnesty watchers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that's what we should call it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Did we get...
We have a lot of resources here.
We got a lot of resources. So how do you want to do this? We still have the Epoch Times.
Yeah, I thought we replaced that, but we didn't. But it's okay because we talked about the Epoch Times last episode, who's behind the funding and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, they're going to be the ones to carry this. Again, one of the top search results.
And we should mention it. Do you have the Harvard media ownership list up?
I do, yes. I can just look up Epoch Times.
So Epoch Times, we did a little bit of a breakdown last episode. Some very interesting ownership. Now, there's interesting ownership of every single big news outlet. The Epoch Times, of course, is one that a lot of people subscribe to or pay attention to because it's not afraid to get banned off of everything. Now, the reason we don't bring a whole lot of Epoch Times is because we find in our community that the confirmation bias kicks in a little bit too hard. It makes it difficult to analyze what's going on over there. And truly, it seems like a lot of times confirmation bias is almost entirely what is drawing people to the Epoch Times, which you got to watch out for. We all know this because that creates a situation where the Epoch Times can sneak in some not so reliable information. But because of the nature of this news, Epoch Times really is one of the most sort of trustworthy outlets carrying it. But we did spend some time going through the sources, the source material, and we will bring that to you as well.
And just before we jump into the actual article, one thing we didn't mention in the last episode about Epoch Times and the founder being a follower of the Chinese spiritual movement Falun Gong. The logo for Falun Gong is a red circle inside of a yellow or orangish circle. In the center is a gold swastika, and then there is a kind of like a pointy swastika, 4 of them that surround that inner circle, big swastika. And look, I understand in the East, the swastika had a different meaning, an ancient meaning, and all that kind of stuff.
It's a sort of a Tibetan sign for peace or something,
right? But also, if you're a religion that's starting in the 1990s, I don't know. There's probably some PR guy that could have come in and said, "Hey, if you really want to appeal," and this is just really easy fodder for any because part of the Falun Gong, part of the Epoch Times is that they're anti-communist China, or they're against the Chinese Communist Party as part of they're not shy about it. They're open about it. So it would be very easy for the opposition in the US anyway to be like, oh, look at the Epoch Times. Look at these guys who are into swastikas. Of course they're into anti-progressive measures and stuff like that. So just something to point out, not that we're
and it could easily be used, for all sorts of reasons.
Yes.
Bringing that point up. So these are all good things to keep in mind, and also good pieces of knowledge and wisdom to wield when you're having a conversation with somebody who wants to bring that up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is coming from Epoch Times. Mm-hmm. It goes like this. Oh, it is. That's the thing about Epoch Times. They have quite the advertising structure that really bogs down their website. FDA says telling people not to take ivermectin for COVID-19 was just a recommendation. Aw, it's just a recommendation, Gons. We've talked about this. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration telling people to stop taking ivermectin for COVID-19 was informal and just a recommendation. Government lawyers argued during a recent hearing.
Oh, government lawyers. That's not slimy at all.
Yeah. If a lawyer is nitpicking the the true definition of how information was communicated from the government, then you know that they're just being honest. Quote, the cited statements were not directives. They were not mandatory. They were recommendations, as said what parties should do. They said, for example, why you should not take ivermectin to treat COVID-19. They did not say you may not do it.
Oh my gosh.
You must not do it. Even reading it out loud is so offensive.
It's ridiculous
what these guys are saying. They did not say it's prohibited or it's unlawful. They also did not say that doctors may not prescribe ivermectin. Oopsies. End quote. Isaac Belfer, one of the lawyers, told the court during the November 1 hearing in federal court in Texas, quote, they use informal language. That is true, he also said, adding that, quote, it's conversational, but not mandatory. The hearing was held in a case brought by 3 doctors who say the FDA illegally interfered with their ability to prescribe medicine to their patients when it issued statements on ivermectin, an antiparasitic that has shown positive results in some trials against COVID-19. Ivermectin is approved by the FDA, but not for COVID-19. Drugs are commonly used for non-approved purposes in the United States. The practice is known as off-label treatment. The FDA created a web page in 2021 titled, quote, why you should not use ivermectin to treat or prevent COVID-19, and later posted a link to the page on Twitter, writing, quote, you are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. The famous tweet from FDA, which, of course, we covered on this show. A second post stated, quote, hold your horses, y'all. Ivermectin may be trending, but it still isn't authorized or approved to treat COVID-19. In a separate page, the FDA said, quote, Q, like question, should I take ivermectin to prevent or treat COVID-19? A for answer, no. End quote. Those actions interfered with the doctors' practice of medicine, violating the laws, including the Federal Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act, the lawsuit alleges. It asked the court to rule the actions unlawful and bar the FDA from directing or opining as to whether ivermectin should be used to treat COVID-19. Jared Kelson, an attorney representing the plaintiffs, told the court during the hearing that an informal claim, quote, doesn't explain the language they actually used. Subquote here. Stop it. Stop it with the ivermectin. End quote. End subquote. Reading MLA format for reporting here can get kind of complicated doing it vocally. But that's why we're the podcasters with no advertisers. All right. The FDA actions, quote, clearly convey that this is not an acceptable way to treat these patients, he argued. Plaintiffs in the case include Dr. Paul Marique, who began utilizing ivermectin in his COVID-19 treatment protocol in 2020, while he was chief of pulmonary and critical care medicine at Eastern Virginia Medical School and director of the intensive care unit at Centara Norfolk General Hospital. Are you still hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got a little notice here that maybe I had gone away. Mm-hmm. After the FDA's statements, Marique was told to remove the protocol from the school's servers, while Centara issued a memorandum to hospitals telling them to stop using ivermectin against COVID-19, with a citation to the FDA. Marique was forced to resign from his position because he couldn't prescribe ivermectin due to the FDA's statements, the suit alleges. The government has moved to dismiss the complaint, asserting plaintiffs lack understanding because the injuries cannot be traced back to the FDA. Dun, dun, dun. What do you think, Guns?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he wasn't paying attention. Okay.
I had to pull something over here, but yeah, I mean, overall, it's number one. It's not surprising where we're at.
We all lived through this. We don't need to.
It. I do want to just throw back to the times.
Ivermectin. I got COVID. Ivermectin. All kinds of meds. Ivermectin. Everything. Ivermectin. Boom, he took ivermectin.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't believe we didn't have that at the top.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Just to go back to some of these sources here, we do have the FDA.gov page, which is still up.
It's still up.
It's still up, by the way. So even though they're trying to say that it, didn't have an effect or it's just a whatever, it's still up. It is still part of the FDA recommendations. We've also, what else is still up?
Yeah, the tweet.
is the tweet. You're not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. From FDA.
I love that government lawyers have to comment on this, tweets like this and get all technical about it to try to to initiate the amnesty there.
Yeah, it's like Trump lawyers trying to explain Trump's tweets.
It reminds me of the Clinton thing when Bill Clinton got caught for some misconduct with Monica.
What the meaning of is
what the meaning of is just like Teflon, he just sort of wiggles his way around all the questions.
Questions.
Yeah.
It reminded me of another great article that we covered on the show. This was from Vice. It was last year, October, almost a little over a year ago. The headline on Vice was, "The FDA was internally thrilled over that viral horse-based tweet." Internal documents obtained by Motherboard through a Freedom of Information Act request show that the Federal Food and Drug Administration was absolutely delighted to do a fire tweet discouraging the use of ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19.
Fire tweet!
In internal emails, supervisors with the agency's public affairs office congratulated the author of the tweet for their clever, humorous approach, suggesting the agency will employ more humor in its desperate, often ineffective efforts to keep the American public from continuing to poison themselves with unproven treatments for the novel coronavirus. It is Vice, after all, Guns. But they're not. They can make fun of the FDA without disagreeing with them.
Mm-hmm.
There was another very interesting detail to the ivermectin conversation that recently came to light as well. You'll remember the Together trial. The Together trial was a sort of like international philanthropic effort to fund COVID, like international COVID research, including the efficacy of repurposed drugs, in which the Together trial was referred to as sort of the last word on ivermectin. It was I
remember that.
It was the last word. Look, the
science is in.
Independent scientific worldwide community has decided that ivermectin doesn't work. Well, going over here to prnewswire.com, it says this: the FTX Foundation supports the global expansion of the Trial of the Year award winning Together trial. Sam Bankman-Fried funded. Sam Bankman-Fried funded the definitive voice, finally putting down the ivermectin debate.
Does it all seem a little too coordinated? I mean, it's just every time it's like they had this guy as the thread that just unwinds everything. You know, they just allowed him to rise up and then just pull the plug when we're ready.
Hub, the center of it, the spinning bicycle wheel of the facade that is
unbelievable.
Our, authoritarian organizations. They were all different spokes that were coming off of Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, you've got the connections with Ukraine, connections with World Economic Forum, connections with
Biden
digital ID,
campaign,
vaccines. Not vaccines, but vaccine passports, connection with the Biden campaign, connection with crypto, everything going on with the Web3, the financial revolution, ESG, connected to the effective altruism movement,
Bill Gates,
which was also connected with the pro-natalist movement.
Right.
I mean, he is literally at the center of he's like the Canary crying news talk of everything going on, just on the other side, Yeah. He is the one guy who stands in the center of the bicycle wheel of everything we've been covering for at least 6 years now, 7 years.
How did he get there?
I don't know. I can read this PR Newswire, but it's basically the official FTX announcement that the FTX Foundation proudly announces financial support for the global expansion of the Together trial.
Does it say how much? Looks like announces more than $18 million in funding and purchases commitments from the FTX Foundation that will enable the expansion of the trial from Brazil and Canada to include experienced sites in South Africa, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Bahamas, Pakistan, Vietnam, and Ghana. Okay, so wow, that's 18 million of your money going towards.
And I think that was just the first round. I think there's a couple rounds of this. So thank you, PR Newswire, for that. And of course, we've mentioned it a couple times. This really goes back to the pandemic amnesty, the call for pandemic amnesty. Let's declare pandemic amnesty, written by Emily Oster over at The Atlantic, that set everything on fire a couple weeks ago, which clearly and explicitly called for forgiveness for the FDA, the CDC, individuals like Anthony Fauci,
Rochelle.
Deborah Birx, even, what was so revealing about that plea for pandemic amnesty was how little it included, talk about people who lost their livelihoods, lost their families, lost their licensure for being a doctor. Countless doctors and physicians' assistants losing their jobs, losing their licensing for specifically, in this case, ivermectin, but for lots of other reasons. It's all part of the pandemic amnesty. I did put in a link, a source here for those who get the newsletter, of some sourcing for the suspended Texas doctor who promoted ivermectin. But there's seriously countless stories of doctors getting suspended specifically for trying to save patients' lives.
Yeah, that's really the egregious part here, is that these institutions, like the FDA, for example, trying to really play that amnesty card. Meanwhile, just not being held accountable for anything. And this goes thematically. The big pharma had that too, where it's like, well, you can't really sue us, if things go wrong. We're in an emergency. We have we have immunity from certain legal aspects. It's just the whole class of folks who are above the law. And I think SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, falls under this category of like, they're just in a whole different class. They are the elite protected class, or at least high enough to be protected from the laws that govern the rest of us anyway. So it's just pretty disgusting.
the FDA saying that, no, what we were saying about the ivermectin and everything, that was just a suggestion, is really a sick, not only is it gaslighting,
yeah, it is.
It is a sick form of victim blaming. Because what they're saying is, we just made a suggestion. If you took our suggestion, that's on you, bro. Because you got to think about it. They're trying to make the case that medical boards taking away licenses based on this quote unquote recommendation. They didn't make the boards take away licenses. They didn't force these doctors to lose their jobs. No, we just made a recommendation, and you guys acted on our casual recommendation. It is a sick form of victim blaming, which, look, that is the core principle of the, I'll just say, politically progressive social movements is, things like calling out victim blaming, calling out all the oppressive, manipulative ways that the power structure, will oppress different people groups. Well, in this case, you literally have the government of the United States blaming doctors who are saving people's lives, doing the real work of medicine, not just following protocols being sent down from on high, but being actual doctors. And those actual doctors were the ones who are losing their licenses or being driven out of medicine altogether. And not only is it a sick and twisted gaslighting, victim blaming nonsense regime in the FDA, but it also served to filter out of our society real doctors, because we don't have real doctors. This is what came to light for a lot of people, and sometimes maybe somebody's forgotten it or maybe hasn't thought about it in a while, but doctors are an incredible group of people because of the freedom that they're given legally. They are given the freedom to practice medicine, which practice medicine does not just mean be a doctor. It means to be in the trenches of saving people's lives and using relevant medical science to do whatever it takes to sustain and improve human life. That is what a real doctor does. And this quote unquote recommendation from the FDA did nothing but to literally filter real doctors out of our society. We are now left with people who are called doctors but are not practitioners. They're not even allowed to truly be practitioners of medicine. They are simply extensions. They are nodes or tentacles spreading off of a authoritarian bureaucracy within the government who is notably a corrupt organization. Anybody remember OxyContin? Anybody remember benzodiazepines? Anybody remember any of this stuff? Because that's the FDA's fault. And we let those same people filter our entire society from true practitioners of medicine. And that is an apocalyptic crime that has been perpetrated on at least the American people, and we know that this has happened, throughout the world. So this, for the FDA to come shuffling their feet back into the public eye, kicking rocks and having their chin to their chest, saying, "Oh, guys, we were just making a recommendation. We didn't know that anybody would actually listen to us. That's really their fault." Look, it's not a surprise, and that's the sick part about it. It's not a surprise. It's business as usual for our government, and specifically the bureaucratic the explosion of bureaucratic mission creep, which in this case is directly the motivation for the FDA here is the preservation of their own authority. There is no other reason for the FDA to be gaslighting the American people like this than to preserve their own jobs. You know, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of revolutionary talk about the IRS or blah, 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 the other bureaucratic tumors that are growing on our government, but the FDA is one of them. And there has been serious talk about revamping, dismantling, and of course, unfortunately, restructuring something in its place by our actual politicians sitting in the chairs of power. And, you know, if nothing comes of this, and this goes for the CDC as well, but we're focusing on the FDA right here. If we're going to have the fourth estate of our society, the mainstream media, the Atlantic specifically, asking for pandemic amnesty for what they put us through, and the FDA is trying to latch on to that movement. This is, I mean, I'm sorry, folks. If this goes through, you know, you look at the decline of other empires throughout history, and I love the United States, so many things about it. But this is one of those things that if the FDA gets away, and this goes for all these organizations, if nothing changes, if it is not demanded at the very level of individual citizens coming together and speaking loudly, and don't get me wrong, they will tell you. That's why they try to silence the loud people. That's why they kick us off YouTube every single week. That's why I have to spend about 10 hours a week putting together appeals for irrelevant strikes on YouTube, and that's just us. But the louder you are, the more loud people there are talking about this and not letting it go, that is our best chance. Because otherwise, we are just following the same, unfortunately, not even the same. It's a more evolved, more aggressive form of decline than even the most powerful empires in the world have ever experienced. And, you know, that's honestly, there's a lot of reasons, Guns, why you and I would go get other jobs, regular jobs. I mean, we have other jobs, but jobs that could support our families. But as we've talked about privately, and I'll say it again on this show, we care too much about the reality of our situation, and so do our producers. And we're not going to stop. I don't care if we get kicked off YouTube. This video is not YouTube. We cut off YouTube because this immediately would have gotten taken down, and I just didn't want to deal with it. But this is the clip that which
the
is
kind of clips that gets us in trouble.
This is the exact clip that would have taken up 10 or 20 hours of my week next week. So, you know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be on YouTube. It can be anywhere. But we can't be lulled or distracted by things like war, culture war, the political right-left paradigm. The whole reason for doing away with those distractions is to not let the FDA and organizations like it continue to suck the life out of this country like the malignant tumor that they are. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sitting there waiting for my opportunities there.
Okay.
But there's nothing, there's no pushback. I am in 100% agreement with you.
I'm not saying we have to stop talking about it. I'm just saying.
Oh, I am concerned as you are about this, but if we take the logical leap here of where this is headed, it is that institutions like the FDA, CDC, World Health Organization will be completely immune to what will come of vaccine damage. As we get more and more of the data coming in of stillbirths and all kinds of stuff, the VAERS stuff is trending on Twitter, and the people are starting to realize, like, hey, wait a minute, something is really wrong in this, post-vaccine rollout, the mRNA vaccine rollout. There's some problems here. We've seen kind of the beginnings of it with the conversation about who was it? Pfizer looking into myocarditis cases and doing a big old study, and it's going to take a few years and blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that allowing this to just continue on, which as general citizens, we don't have a whole lot to do to push back on it other than to disagree and to, give our reasons why this stuff like this is just absolutely horrible and terrible and bad for the country and bad for the world and bad for people and, both their health mentally and physically.
Real quick, just on that point, you said there's not much that we can do as far as like a toolbox of things that regular people can do.
Sure.
You are correct, but the things we can do, what this lawsuit is showing us is the things we can do can make a difference. It is not hopeless. And that's one of the problems with the sort of fringy conspiracy, Illuminati crowd is it's so easy for a spirit of hopelessness to fall over it, fall over the minds and the hearts of the people in that group. And the point is that there might not be a lot of things that we can do, but there are things that we can do that if enough of us do them and don't stop doing them, then things change. I mean, I think that the fact that this lawsuit not only has gotten as far as it's gotten, but is making waves, the quotes, forcing the FDA to say the things that it's saying, which only go to further enrage the people that it affected. There are a couple things that we can do. And all it takes is enough people to do them and do them without ceasing to keep going. And that includes being loud about it.
Well, I was going to say, just informing people.
That's one thing.
Yeah, informing people. And that's really what we've been doing here. Even if it's not
informing. I mean,
I think informing is important.
That's our role. We're doing our best to inform people. But for a regular, a non-podcaster, a non semi-professional amateur podcasters like ourselves, just simply being loud about it, never stop talking about it. And, there are ways, all of these lawsuits, of which there are many more, they are funded by the people who are angry. There's no billionaires or companies paying for the lawyers for these types of lawsuits. And look, why do you think what a wonderful opportunity, what a wonderful signal to those who have the power to do things like send us into recession, make statements like we need to drain the savings of the average worker. The average worker has too much power. The American family has too much money. We need to completely destroy the economic system and reset things back to where big corporations and governments have all the power. Why? Because when people have money and they put that money into towards directions that matter to them, such as crowdfunding these legal cases, crowdfunding media that isn't afraid to talk about it. Crowdfunding is one thing, but also prayers, also support, also being loud. It is true. There's only a few things people can do, but if enough people commit to doing those things, look how far it's gotten us already. I never thought that any of these legal cases would even come to the place that they are. And some of them have gone even farther than this one. And if nothing else, than to pull back the curtain on how ridiculous the defense of the FDA in this case. Oh, we're just making suggestions. Don't blame us. Come on, pandemic amnesty, everybody. That shows that they've got their backs up against a wall and they have nothing to say for themselves except for let us go.
They definitely overextended their power in the last during the lockdowns, and it was obvious to people like us paying attention. And I think more and more people are discovering how ridiculous it was, how bad the overreach was, because I think the general sentiment now is that, it's a little bit of an overreach, a little bit too much to shut down. Everybody experienced the 2 weeks narrative turned into 2 years. And like you said, there are other lawsuits taking place. I have one here just real quick, just to share another lawsuit that's out there. New lawsuit alleges FDA's approval of chemical abortions violated the law. Basically, some doctors are suing the FDA over the authorization of chemical abortion drugs, mifepristone and misoprostol. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But lawsuits are part of, and that's the other part of it is we are going to see how the legal system in the United States really sort of the final, I don't know. It's sort of one could argue that it is kind of the final frontier of some kind of libertarian freedom that's available, in concept anyway. And so for the legal system in the United States, we will see how it holds up with all the things that took place the last couple years and more that comes to light. And if it will actually help the side of the general public who seem to be at odds with institutions like the FDA, or if there's too much money, too much power in these organizations, and while they will receive public scrutiny, and perhaps the right the white knight on a horse will come in some political context and tear down the FDA. I know that's part of Trump's deal, right? If he gets into office, he's going to start shooting off your fired gun. And really trying to rebuild, drain the swamp, do all that stuff. At least that's what he's promising. We don't know if he's.
That's what he said. He didn't get too far the first time around.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that there's, and again, our show is about sharing the gospel, and that's the ultimate hope here. That it's beyond all these nuanced things here, and these are the evidence for a corrupt, fallen, sinful world. It's these individuals and whatever where we call them out and whatnot, but. In terms of just taking that 1,000-foot step back and looking at the big spiritual conspiracy behind it all, I think that's where we definitely find comfort in the hope of the eternal, and looking at it all these little things from that perspective, it's like, oh, no wonder there's a second coming. It's like we have to really mess things up here, and this is another one of those examples. But the ebb and flow of information and institutions and the pressure being put on the global infrastructure, the new world order, whatever you want to call it. It's interesting to me because it's always been, at the beginning when we started this, it was unimaginable that there would be any kind of uprising against the established system, right? And now we're seeing it, and it feels like it's kind of controlled. There's like some controlled opposition taking place. Not all of it, but I don't know. It's almost too perfect to create a transition period, a change. You can't really change things unless you expose the problem, to the wider public. So I always go back to Animal Farm, the book, the Orwell book, where the animals rebel against the farmer, and then they take over. But it's really the pigs that really plotted the whole animal rebellion, and all the other animals are sort of innocent. But then when they took over the humans, it was just the pigs in the actual barn now, and all the animals were left out. It's kind of like that. It feels like that, I'm not trying to be hopeless here. I'm just saying, the whole thing's rigged from the beginning. But anyway.
Well, of course it is. But, it depends on how you're measuring success. I mean, if your measurement of success is, whatever, the New World Order is defeated and the World Economic Klaus is put into jail and look, it's who's defining this success for you? But for me, even if this lawsuit doesn't go through, it is a classic story that an elite level criminal gets away with it. The legal system, the abortion that is the abortion of justice sets some elite lizard person free from a horrible crime, and everybody sees it, everybody knows it, everybody realizes, wakes up to the fact that things are rigged, just like you say. Even that is considered a success. Even this, where the FDA literally comes out and says, victim blames, gaslights us all into thinking that they were just making a funny reference or something, whatever. Why'd you even listen to us? Even that, and the ridiculousness, when the clown makeup of those in power starts to drip onto their business suit or whatever, that is considered a success, even in my book.
Sure.
And, these types of things don't happen overnight.
No.
Much like the things we're fighting against. They don't happen overnight. They're working on 10, 20, 30, 40-year timelines. And, the first 30 years are crazy conspiracy theorists shouting about them on the internet and everybody calling them crazy. And then the next 10 years is everybody waking up to the fact they've been right all along. And I think that's where we are in the last 10 years of that.
Yeah, and plus, I'm not looking forward to where the conspiracy theorists are right moving forward, because the New World Order infrastructure, the globalist scientific dictatorship, that's all out on the table now. Everyone can see that. But it's it's like the other conspiracies there. It's like the aliens, the lizard people. We're running out of conspiracies to confirm in the public, and that's where things get really wild. Maybe this century, huh?
Oh, Gonzo. Oh, Gonzo.
Hey,
I think it's
the lizard people is just a gateway, okay? It's just a gateway to more
gateway conspiracy,
more fringe conspiracy theories. So,
all right, I think it's time we take a break. We thank some more producers.
Okay, all right. I guess we can do that. I don't know. Come on, soundboard. Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. That's me screaming in that break jingle today. Yes, We're taking a few moments to thank our producers who came in with their God-given talent. Don't just consume the content. Help us bring or provide value back by building the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. All we ask is that you make it about the show. And we are going to kick it off with, actually, we have a speak pipe that we want to play to kick it off.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look for a green tab, click on it, and it will open a little pop-up that will allow you to record a message of up to 90 seconds, and by hitting send, gives us the right to play it on air or not. We control everything. We are like the FDA. Okay.
I'm going to stop reacting to these silly things you say.
Yeah, thanks. That really, I was already feeling low, but that hurt right there. That was like stabbing a knife in my heart and then just twisting it. But maybe Rochelle will cheer us up here. This is from Rochelle.
Let's hope so.
Happy Monday, Canarians. So last week, Basil and Gons, you were kind of joking about maybe making someone an honorary member or a honorary knight for all the hard work they put in. And I think you have a great idea, and the person you were talking about, I think, really would deserve it. And maybe you could do it. You could do an honorary member maybe once a year, or every 100th episode, or I don't know, maybe for episode 666 or 622, or I don't know. It's your show. Anyway, just a thought. But I don't think any of us in the Canary family would have a problem with you giving an honorary knighthood to those who work so hard for what you got going here. Anyway, also, I wanted to mention a resource I heard that's coming out tonight called Died Suddenly. It's put on by Stu Peters and his gang, but that could be a really good resource for our normie friends to help wake them up and hopefully stop people from getting the shot. Okay, love you guys, and stay strong for Jesus.
Thank you, Rochelle. And yeah, I've been seeing and hearing a lot about the film.
Yeah, it's interesting she said that. I literally had that video playing as she was speaking. I didn't know that that's what she was going to talk about. I don't know. I cannot vouch for that piece of media yet, but I was just watching the trailer. Looks very interesting. Sort of piecing together, of course, the tsunami of news reports of died suddenly. X died suddenly, which started in about 2020 or 2021. Imagine that. And the honorary knighthood thing. Yeah, we've had this conversation. I don't know if we had it on the show or not. The problem with the honorary knighthood thing, and there is that there were big softies, and we would just pretty much give them to everybody because we're so grateful to everybody, and that's fine. We have done a very good job, probably once in our entire life, Gons, sticking to, picking the protocol and sticking to the protocol on the Knights and Dames thing. For so many different reasons. It would cause so many different opportunities for strife and stress for us to have to wade through what that means. But what we landed on is if we do an honorary knight or dame thing, there would be very specific milestones to hit.
Right.
That there would be a system. And it wouldn't be honorary. It would just be very specific, things that a producer could do for a specific amount of time at a specific, rate of faithfulness, and really systematize it rather than just whatever flight of fancy we have at the moment, which, look, those who have been with us long enough know that us acting on our flights of fancy is like the worst thing about our entire franchise.
Yeah, we've had issues with that, but
yeah, we've had a lot of issues, and we continue to do that. So, but thank you for putting your
2 cents
opinion in there, out there, your 2 cents in. It's always good to hear from producers. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you, and we're gonna do some audio production.
Audio production. Productions.
Yeah, we ask people or producers to make clips or some kind of, something fun that's show related. Today we have one or a couple things to go through. First up, we have something from the days. What? What? Did I say something weird?
We ask our producers to make clips?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Just ignore what I just said.
Okay.
We asked them to make audio for our show.
We don't ask anybody to do anything, but we have producers who are very creative and talented, and they share their talent.
Sometimes ask them to make stuff for us.
Yeah, rarely do they actually make the things we ask for, though.
It's not that. It's a good batting average, I would say. It's not 100%, but we've gotten good response from the producers. But okay, we have one here from The Days Upon Us. He or she, I don't know, has a note. I just made this song for the show. I'm not the best at mixing, but I hope you guys enjoy this. AI Children. Play a few seconds of it here. AI Children will become widely available for a relatively small monthly fee. Seems like it takes a little while to get going. It's about minute 50, so we'll play the whole thing at the end of the show.
Well, I like it. We'll play it. It's very tense, very ominous. We'll play that all the way through at the end of the show for the Canary Crime mixtape, so make sure to stick around for that. Yep. And what producer made that? Who was that?
Was
The Days Upon Us.
Days Upon Us, yeah.
Thank you very much, producer. The Days Upon Us. Looking forward to playing the whole thing at the end of the show.
Yes, and we also have a few more from Brother G, the ISOs mostly. And let's see, we have the Crusade.
More power and abilities to aid you in your crusade.
Yeah, there's that robot again. It seems to be. It makes me wonder, what is this from? Let's see, we have Oh Those Russians.
Oh, those Russians.
I like that. That one we can probably use.
That is very funny.
And what about That Is a Weapon?
That is a weapon, not a teleporter.
No, that's too bad. I was hoping it was
I think we did play that one.
We did play that one?
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Brother G.
Thank you, Brother G. Let's
do those Russians.
All those Russians.
So have we made that gigantic stash of clips available to the Jingle Boys yet?
I thought so, yeah. I made a whole zip file, and I don't know if they
I'm just
received
asking.
it, but yeah, no.
Where'd you stick it into the Discord channel?
I didn't do it into the Discord channel because I think I'm blocked from Discord. I think they thought I was a scammer or something, and I've not been able to access.
Where is it? Where did it get put?
I don't remember. I think I emailed it to somebody, or I think I put it in a Dropbox folder.
I would say that probably hasn't quite made it to its
No,
destination.
okay, hold on.
I'll do it right now. No, I'm in the Jingle Boys Discord. If you
Okay.
tell me where it is, I'll drop it in there for
Okay,
them.
hold on. Let me see.
Oh,
if
I see. You made a file named Jingle Boys in our Dropbox.
Yeah, it's there. It should be
Okay.
there. And I think I sent the link to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a couple weeks ago.
I think I sent the link to someone. Here, I'll send it to all of them right now.
There you go. Okay. Well, while you do that, we're gonna do some art here.
One art, please.
We only have one today, and it's from Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And the piece comes with a note. Peace. Hope you boys have a good Thanksgiving and rest of the week. For today's artwork, I did an illustration for Psalm 106, verse 1. Hallelujah. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His loving devotion endures forever. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. Dove, thank you very much. And this is an image. It's got some leaves, just a whole floor of fall leaves with the autumn colors. And it says, let's see, what is this? I'm trying to read the thing. To give thanks to the Lord. That's what it says. Give thanks to the Lord in the cool font there. It's got some faces in the letters, some Hebrew in one of the letters there too. So very cool. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. Appreciate your contributions
Thank you.
as always. And we also have
for those who want some awesome Dove stuff. He's got 2 books now of this coffee table. Well, 2 coffee table books of his Bible artwork. Volume 1 went out with the supply drop.
Yeah.
But you can purchase volume 1 and 2 from Sir Dove's Big Cartel site. I think it's bigcartel.dovewashere.com, or you can just click on Dove's art in your newsletter and go check out his stuff. A great way to support a producer.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. We got one microfiction today.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
It is from Runk Smash.
Streams of people pass by Chris. Like sheep walking in a circle, their parents put them on at selective conception, not taking the time to notice or care what happened to put him in this situation. All but one. Chris, it's me. Tracy, what happened? What
Tracy.
happened, Chris? Chris.
Tracy.
Also, who's Tracy?
Dick Tracy?
Yeah, that's probably it, Gons.
Tracy McGrady?
Sportsball?
Sportsball reference.
Sportsball. Okay, let's wake up. Thank you. If you are a creative person, no matter what you do, if you're a musician or a audio music producer or whatever, graphic artist, a writer, you can create something for the show, send it in. We'd love to feature it on the show. You can upload it to our art portal over at canarycry.art. That's right, canarycry.art. Or you can email it to us at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you very much to our producers.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
Snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
Oh, yeah. Nephilim updates and Antarctica coming together in a couple stories here. This first one is from the dailyrecord.co.uk. And the headline, groundbreaking research suggests... hold on. Zoomed in too far. Groundbreaking research suggests something huge could be living beneath Antarctica.
Dun, dun,
Something
dun.
huge? What, like a giant? An ancient Nephilim?
A dragon.
Yeah, that's not that exciting. It says here, researchers have discovered that there may be something monstrous living below Antarctica's icy surface, as big as 5 million square kilometers. The frozen continent is usually thought of as a hostile climate with only certain breeds of animals such as penguins, seals, and fish being able to live there, the Daily Star reports. However, scientists have been studying blooms of photosynthetic algae, which emerges in the summer months.
That's exciting.
When the ocean ice dissolves. It's been believed for a long time that the algae only appeared in the warmer months of Antarctica's hefty layer of solid ice would stop any sunlight from getting through. However, new research carried out by the team from Brown University in the U.S. and New Zealand's University of Auckland implies there could be a colossal mass of it living permanently under the surface of the continent, Newsweek reported. Christopher Horvath, who led the study, told the publication, quote, "Finding these blooms helps challenge the paradigm that regions under sea ice are devoid of life and introduces important new questions about the food webs that might lie under the ice in Antarctica." Quote, "We think they could cover up to 5 million square kilometers of the under ice region in the Southern Ocean. The research, which was discovered using data obtained from NASA's Earth surveillance satellites and on-site ocean floats, has now been published in the journal Frontiers in Marine Science. The Southern Ocean's sea ice is composed of sheets of packed ice with small patches of open water in between. Researchers are of the opinion that it is those areas of water that let light pass through even in the winter months, giving the algae power to photosynthesize all year round." It goes into some more marine biologists talking about it. Hugh Griffiths, who's a marine biogeographer with the British Antarctic Survey, explained the ice, which is usually between 3 and 10 feet thick, is also thin enough to allow sunlight through. Quote, "Most ice shelves are so thick that no light reaches the sea floor," he said last year. And quote, "We know very little about life under Antarctica's floating ice shelves. Ice shelves cover around a third of the continental shelf, 1.5 million square kilometers. But our knowledge is based on a handful of records from boreholes drilled through the ice shelves," he said. "Those holes give us small snapshots of what lives on the seafloor and the water column, but the majority of what we know come from short video clips and photographs covering a very small area." So yeah, good. We know very little, but apparently a giant mass of algae lives under the ice sheets, which could be, food for the Nephilim penguins, or maybe, the goo that will be. But also, what it reminded me of was all the green talk. If we're talking about resources in the New World Order and everything, remember how algae was going to be the new fuel?
Yeah,
like it was going to fuel airplanes and cars and
and then there's the algae that could clean up the oil spills.
Right. Yeah. So maybe that's the direction they're going here. Is like, oh, we found the source.
The secret god algae that will save humanity.
Yeah, something like
that. It only
that.
Makes sense that it would come from Antarctica.
I know. It totally makes sense.
You had Sir Ernest Shackleton searching for the Ever Cube. You had Dr. Ash searching for the dark matter. You've got the Russians and the Chinese searching for the comet rocks that have all the special minerals in them at the bottom of the ocean, when really it was all just a metaphor for the Gaia's goo down below the ice. Gaia's goo that will save us from ourselves.
That is a potential title for a future episode. Gaia's goo. I like it. By the way, this might tickle your fancy, Basil. Cruisepassenger.com.au. Viking claims discovery of a new island in Antarctica. I got really excited that there were actual Vikings still around. Maybe some relatives of yours. Fortunately, it was not. They're not real Vikings. It's just the ship Viking.
What?
Yeah. Viking has claimed to discover a new island in Antarctica after expedition staff looking for a place to take guests during snowstorms found land no one had ever visited been before. Someone needs to check the spelling there. The team aboard Viking's new expedition ship Polaris unwittingly made the discovery after radioing for permission to land on the tiny island, which has nothing but nesting penguins on it. The ship's expedition team had to dig a makeshift staircase to allow guests to climb onto the island from zodiacs. It was named Breakwater Island because there was a small shallow area which allowed for landing. But when the crew formed the International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, which ensures ships visiting the pristine snow-capped lands don't break rigorous regulation to safeguard wildlife and prevent overcrowding, they were told the island had never been visited before. Enthusiastic expedition staff were keen to name the island, but Viking has now said it won't do that, leaving the sometimes sensitive naming of land to the authorities. Boo! That's not the Viking I know. That's not the Viking spirits that I grew up knowing.
This is Viking Cruise Lines. This is
laying down for the authorities to come in and name the thing.
They're not real Vikings. They're just culturally appropriating my people. Where's my... I want my reparations, Viking Cruise Lines.
The Polaris has a number of...
Making a joke. The noble warriors.
The Polaris has a number of scientists on board carrying out experiments and monitoring things like water quality and cloud cover. Universities and NASA backs its experiment. So there you go. Just, I was really excited for a second, but yeah, it's a little dud. But you know,
I mean, it's not quite a dud though. It's not a dud, and here's why.
Okay.
We've talked about Antarctica being marketed, not just marketed in sort of a superficial sense, but a true social engineering campaign.
Yeah, of course.
To position Antarctica as the vacation spot of a lifetime, but not for everybody, just for white progressive liberals, of course.
Eco-warrior types, yeah.
Yes. And I believe that this is a part of that because it fits perfectly into the social engineering campaign of Antarctica, which is, hey, go on a cruise. Go on a cruise. Look, this cruise has Jimmy Buffett on it.
I know where you're going with this.
Go on a cruise, and maybe you will be the first person to discover a brand new piece of Antarctica. It's opening up the frontierism, the pioneer spirit of rich white liberals.
They're telling him to colonize. It's like they're letting them know we must colonize.
Exactly that. It is rich white liberals on vacation, literally colonizing the new frontier. And I think this refusal to name it is exactly the virtue signal to the rich white liberals, which is, we may have discovered it in between our trips to the buffet. We are the first human people to ever set foot on this ancient Nephilim penguin nesting ground. And that I can keep forever. I can tell every single person I ever meet that I went to Antarctica and discovered a new island.
And these are scientists too. These are go ahead.
Yes. And if anybody ever says so this is, I know what this is. This is Viking Cruise Lines, but they do these scientific cruises.
Expeditions.
So you go on a cruise. You're basically on a cruise, but like it's a way for them to not spend so much money on the luxury part of it, and you kind of like act like you're a scientist. Like you pay to go on vacation, but it's on like it's like a sciencey vacation, and you can discover on new frontier land, and it was the not naming it was a virtue signal because of course the rich white liberals want to do all the discovering and the frontierism. I mean, they are white people after all. They must colonize, but you can virtue signal by not doing the nasty thing, which is planting a flag, naming it after your dog, and, doing the whole rigmarole. It is perfect. This is a very well-crafted piece of the social engineering campaign. I think it's an excellent find, Guns.
There you go. Okay, thank you. I got one more quick one here, and this is, I don't know. We'll just end with this one. This is from the Saxon.org. Not sure about the outlet. The headline here is, "Against all odds, a whole garden of giant flowers was discovered under the ice sheet of Antarctica."
Was that the same algae thing? Because they do call algae a bloom.
Yeah, it is. It is the same thing.
It is the same thing. Yeah,
it's really disappointing. But I like this headline better, the giant flowers.
Yeah. No, it's got a very, journey to the center of the earth type of vibe. Again, inviting the rich white liberals to go make scientific discoveries in the name of colonizing a big, empty white desert.
Yeah, but they have giant. So in this article, they call it the giant phytoplankton flowers. So, Nephilim flowers is pretty much what they discovered there. Why is everything so large under the ice caps there?
Howdy, folks.
What's going on?
Come on down to Antarctica. Everything's bigger in Antarctica.
Is Texas going to sue Antarctica?
I think so. I think they should. Yeah. Governor Abbott, get on it.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Abbott, we didn't do the story, but isn't he? I saw some report about him getting ready to some kind of armed military vehicles or something. Hold on, let me just pull it up.
He's militarizing the southern border.
The southern border, that's what it was.
Yeah, okay. I saw some numbers. Apparently, I don't know, the numbers that I saw were there's been 23,000 immigrants, undocumented immigrants come across the border since October 1st. Mm-hmm. And so he's calling it like a state of emergency, bringing down the militarized vehicles and ice
militarized
forces.
Vehicles, that's what it was.
Yeah.
To combat the border crisis. Okay, well,
you're gonna need it once the Antarcticans start trying to make their way north for the winter. All right, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. I want to thank our producers. We had no executive producers today, so I might as well just name our 3 producers who came in above 777. Thank you to Malik W., Sir Morph, Knight of the Burning Chariots, and Sir LX Protocol V2, Knight of the Marine Protocol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Thank you to all of our supporters, whether you came in with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Make sure to have a wonderful week, a wonderful Thanksgiving. And if it comes up, if you're one of those families that does the thank you during Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for? Just start saying you're thankful for this show. That'll be our big Thanksgiving campaign. I'm thankful for Canary Cry News Talk. It'll drive your extended family absolutely bonkers. And what are the holidays for, if not that? Thank you to the rest of our producers. I want to thank a couple producers who come in with their time so consistently, so faithfully, starting with our Clippies. Clipping all those videos. Thanks. Thank you to Emsworth and Faye Liverin for your tireless efforts on the Canary Cry Clips channel, which I've remembered it does have a strike that needs to be addressed. I'll get on that. But it's easy to repel those strikes, the slings and arrows of the adversary because of the Clippies. So thank you very much. In addition to the Clippies, I want to thank the timestampers. Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp. That's right. Our timestampers also have a really, honestly, I do not envy the timestampers, but I am extraordinarily grateful for them because the work they do, putting the timestamps from the live show into written format, again, has enabled us to fight off all the suspensions from YouTube the past few weeks, and it truly is a grueling job, and we want to thank them very much. I want to thank our timestamper Jackie Yu for doing the timestamps for episode 562. Thank you, Jackie Yu.
Thank you, Jackie Yu.
Thank you to the social media gal.
Social media.
Thanks so much.
You okay
That's
there?
right. Dame Miss G of the OV and the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social media means a lot. Thank you very much. Social media, follow us. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. Put on
Canary Cry Meetup.
That's right. Next meetup's not till December 11th in Silver Dollar City. My brain and my tongue have disconnected from one another. But
we need this week
want
off.
to put on a meetup, yeah, I think you're right, man.
Yeah.
I think it needed to happen this way. Where was I? Oh, if you want to put on a little holiday meetup somewhere in your area, just go ahead and let us know. Say, hey, here's where I'm going to be. This is the time I'll be there, and Canarians will show up. CanaryCrymeetups.com.
This is fun!
Yeah, reviews, ratings, and reviews. Why don't you go leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts and just let them know why you're thankful for the show. That'll be a nice review campaign. And all those people stuck with their family this week, trying to escape, find a little bit of time for themselves. All those thankful reviews will come in and activate those algorithms, and a bunch of new people will find the show, and they'll really appreciate it. It'll be because of you. So 99% of you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts. This is your time. This is your call. Yes, I'm talking to you. You right now with your earbuds in, sitting on the couch in the corner after Thanksgiving dinner. You're trying to disconnect from all the annoying conversations going on. You just need a break. I'm talking to you. Go leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would be very curious to actually get a review from the Thanksgiving dinner, you know? Let us know if you actually leave a review from your Thanksgiving dinner.
The turkey says this, I'm a turkey and I really like this podcast.
Sure, yeah.
Or you mean during dinner they're leaving
during,
a review?
During. Or, hey, you know, if you can get the turkey to
nobody's
talk, then...
Nobody's going to have their headphones in during dinner. That's not allowed. After dinner. Thank you, Jam, for the links. Thank you, Clankanifius, for the personal assistance. And other than that, just share the show, folks. I already told you. I'll keep the rant short today. You can share the show in all sorts of ways. Share it on your social media. Tell your friends and family. It's an excellent, excellent way to do it. Hey, these holidays, baby, more people learn about the show during the holidays because, like I said, people escaping off to their secret little getaway zones during the holidays. They just need a time to breathe, and then suddenly their family hears them giggling from the next room. They come in and they ask, why are you giggling? First of all, why are you hiding in the vacuum closet? And why are you giggling in the bathroom closet or in the vacuum closet? And you can say, I was listening to this excellent podcast. Why don't we put it on the loudspeaker for the whole family to enjoy? There you go. That's the spirit of the holidays, folks. And just share the show. We call it Rattling Cages, but if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to them. You grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages.
Hey, stop that!
You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy.
Leave the bird alone!
Never! Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
Enjoy the 33 days of Christmas, or till Christmas on Wednesday. We will not have a show, but you'll just remember that that'll be 33 days until Christmas. And also, it is Fibonacci Day on Wednesday. And then enjoy your Thanksgiving, everybody. Share the show. WOM. It's all about WOM. Word of mouth. That's how you get the show out there.
We have got to get you off of those entrepreneurial blogs. All right,
I'm not on there, but why isn't WOM a thing? Is that already a thing? Do people talk
it just
about
sounds
that?
bad. It's just a bad word. It sounds bad going in. Sounds bad going out. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. I'm definitely going to get some more anti-Basil stop being mean to Gon's hate mail after this episode.
It's okay.
I'm calling it right now. Somebody's going to be, Basil, don't be mean to Gons.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right.
I'm okay being meaned to. So
Yeah, you need to pre-defend me.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
AI children will become widely available for a relatively small monthly fee. Digital copy. AI children will become widely available for a relatively small monthly fee. Virtual kids would just be like the real thing, but could be switched off. Indistinct from those in the real world. It's not real children. Unethical. AI children will become widely available for a relatively small monthly fee. Digital copy. Digital copy. Digital copy.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have?
It's okay. No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. I was like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball.
Give me a break.
Peeling off that big old lint trap. It's just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire starter. You are a weird prepper. Hoarder. Like a weird guy. Man. Weird prepper. Not normal. Like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap.
No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. I was like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love that.
Doesn't work.
I'm constantly having to remind myself, wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint.
Armageddon's on the way.
Feed him more. This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Spread the
then that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye.
I'm out of here. Bye. CanaryCryRadio.com/support